Battle of wills, rain falling, 9th inning, American League Championship Series. Tap to first, they'll come to the plate. They got him! In the air to deep right, and the tie's been broken. The Kansas City Royals are taking Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Well, 15 hours ago, that's right, about 15 hours ago, there were long faces here at Camden Yards as the fans left the ballpark after watching the Orioles lose for the first time in this postseason. But their mantra is, "We won't stop." And today they look for the equalizer against the Kansas City Royals, who are postseason perfect at 5-0 and lead the series 1-0. Hey everybody, welcome back to the playoffs on TBS. I'm Ernie Johnson, Cal Ripken's here, Ron Darling is here. So Game 1, more of the same for the Kansas City Royals. For the 4th time they play extra innings, for the 4th time they win, they take the lead in this series. What was the major takeaway for both of you from Game 1?
Well, the major takeaway for me was it was the Alex Gordon show. He's their all-around best player, really good player, and he showed us many, many facets of his game. Here's a base-clearing double down the right field line. Didn't hit it that good, but it landed in the right spot. And then he just goes and makes this wonderful catch, run-saving catch in left center field. And then to show his toughness, he gets drilled right in the neck, and the very next at bat, he gets up and hits a go-ahead home run in the 10th inning. I know there's a lot of heroes every night, but he's a hero on most nights.
You know, what I took out of the game, whenever you lose an extra inning game, there's going to be some negatives, but there also were a lot of positives for the Baltimore Orioles. Which ones? Well, they were down 5-1, and going against the #1 starter for the Royals, James Shields, they came back twice in that game, and then ended up tying the ball game on this lob wedge from De Aza. The most important thing is that they're able to mitigate the running game by throwing out Dyson. They got out of a bases-loaded jam in the 9th inning, and even after the 2 home runs by Kansas City in the 10th, they got the winning run to the plate. So it's a team that has a lot of resiliency, a lot of fight in them. That bodes well for the Orioles, bodes well for this series.
The pitching matchup today, Bud Norris had a career year, 15 wins, 8 losses. He'll be opposed by Kansas City's rookie Yordano Ventura. Kid is 23 years old. He's fearless, throws about 150 miles an hour. It's going to be fun to watch. Glad you're with us. First pitch is on the way.
This 2014 ALCS telecast on TBS is brought to you by T-Mobile, by Charles Schwab, Own Your Tomorrow, by Chevrolet, Find New Roads, and if you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
All right, getting set for Game 2 of the American League Championship Series here on TBS. The Orioles at home against the Kansas City Royals. And I think to a man on both sides, can't believe that we got Game 1 of this series in without a delay. The forecast was dire on Friday night. We did have some rain, never a stoppage. 10 innings of great postseason baseball, and now we're getting set for Game 2 as the Orioles take the field. And you've seen this before. In fact, Ned Yost sticking with the same starting lineup in every postseason game so far. Alcides Escobar leads it off, followed by Nori Aoki. Lorenzo Cain, the center fielder, hits third. Then it's Eric Hosmer hitting cleanup. Billy Butler is the designated hitter. He'll be followed by Alex Gordon. What a night he had in Game 1. Salvador Perez is behind the plate. Omar Infante, the second baseman. And Mike Moustakas, who the number 9 hitter who leads Kansas City in postseason home runs with 3. And they will be facing Bud Norris.
There comes Bud, a little late, but he's ready to go. He's on his time. He has been outstanding 5-0 in his last 5 starts, including the postseason, and he's pitching to Caleb Joseph today. In 17 starts with Joseph behind the plate, he's 11-2. He has been their best starter down the stretch.
Pointed out as we came on the air, 15-8. That's a career high in wins and a career best ERA of 3.65, and his first winning record since his rookie season in 2009. Spent several years with the Houston Astros, and as a member of the Baltimore Orioles, he's 19-11. Let's take a look at that Baltimore Oriole defense, Iron Man.
Yeah, let me set the defense for you. You got the familiar face Adam Jones with the 3 Gold Gloves out in center field. Markakis and Diaza on their right and left. You got around the infield, you got Flaherty, Hardy, Scope, and Pierce. You got Joseph behind the plate, and you got Bud Norris on the mound.
Evelyn Wood would have had a hard time keeping up with those lineups. Umpiring crew today is Marvin Hudson behind the plate, Joe West, the crew chief, at first. Ron Culpa makes the calls at second. Mark Wegner at third. Down the left field line, you got Brian Gorman, and down the right field line is Tim Timmons. And he'll work this game, and then he'll go to New York and become the replay and review umpire for the rest of the series. And Dan Isonia will meet us in Kansas City.
You know what I like about that? At least they're putting an umpire back in the replay room who has a feel for the series and the players, because he's seen it and been behind the plate. For you folks who don't know Bud Norris, the reason he had such a big year, fastball and slider against the right-handed hitters, but it's been his changeup against the lefties that has made him into a 15-game winner.
This isn't an easy place to pitch in either, and he's pitched really, really well at home. Him and Tillman both have ridiculous ERAs here.
Yeah, Norris 8-2 in this ballpark, ERA of 2.44. And for a little more on the Orioles starter, let's check in with Mike Bordick. Mike?
Yeah, the Orioles trying to even up this series, and they're turning to their hottest pitcher. 4-0. He's got a 1.09 or 1.90 earned run average in those starts. He has been dominant. He pitched game 3 of the ALDS, 6 1/3 scoreless, only giving up 2 hits. He's been a monster here at his home park. Has 8 wins, got a very low earned run average, and he's done it with that power arm. Fastball slider combination. Ron Darling, you're right. That changeup will come up big against the lefties.
Alcides Escobar steps in to lead off game 2. Escobar 1 for 5 last night. That one left the yard. And he takes a strike, 0-1. The thing that stands out too, with the good numbers Norris has, he's given up 20 home runs this year. And you play in this ballpark and think, well, that's a major reason. Only 5 have come here at Camden Yards. And quickly he jumps ahead. No balls and 2 strikes to the Royal shortstop, who did this in game 1 off of Chris Tillman. Three home runs hit in that opener, all by the Kansas City Royals, against the team that led baseball in home runs.
You know, we see it in Norris just like we saw it in Shields. He is kind of an excitable pitcher, pitches on adrenaline, kind of has that football mentality, and he's come out of the blocks firing.
If you can harness that adrenaline and make it work for you, make it give you a little extra on your fastball, then you're good. The problem is when you play a little bit too high, and then all of a sudden what you normally do when you're in your control, all of a sudden you get out of your game.
Key is anytime in the postseason for a starting pitcher, somehow, some way, get through that first inning, because that's when that adrenaline is the highest.
It was Norris who pitched game 3 of the division series in the sweep of the Tigers. Right back where it came from, and Norris gloved it for the first out.
Everyone's having a laugh except Norris. That ball hit about 100 miles an hour back at him.
Yeah, I thought he got this right off the end of the bat. Comes back pretty quick, and he catches it. And then maybe for a minute, I think he's going to try to double up the runner on first. Oh, no, there's not a runner on first.
No, it was like a hot potato. Let me get rid of this thing.
Here's Nori Aoki.
Pierce didn't know whether to cover first base, touch the first base, or throw it around the horn.
Again, we're seeing from Caleb Joseph the multiple signs with no one on base for the Orioles in this game.
That's upstairs. Ball and a strike. Now, when Norris faced Kansas City May 17th, and that was in Kansas City, he pitched great. 7 1/3, 4 hits, only 1 earned run in that game. In the first inning, Aoki was then the leadoff hitter for Kansas City. He singled, stole a base. Billy Butler knocked him in. And Danny Duffy threw a perfect game for 6 2/3 that day.
Right away, I've noticed that the outfield depth is much shallower off of Aoki today.
Adam Jones would be within the confines of Williamsport in center field.
Aoki serves the ball left field, punches the ball a lot of times, and they're going to try to take that away from him.
Remember, in last night's game, with 2 strikes, he dropped the ball in front of De Aza. The ball should have been caught. With 2 strikes in the off field, you should come in a few steps, because Aoki is just, as you said, Cal, just going to try to make contact.
Now, the only danger is that changeup or an off-speed pitch will speed up the bat and give him a little power. So in this case, it looks like you need to pitch him away, play him away.
2-2 is fouled off.
He fights off the fastball, less power with the fastball, more power with the changeup and the breaking ball.
They used to say about hitters like Aoki, if the field was round, he'd hit about 650 because he hits line drives into the stands frequently.
Bud Norris is sporting some fluorescent orange footwear today. I mean, those things standing out. You could land planes. 2-2. On the ground and into left field. Aoki reaches with 1 out. Got to be so frustrating, Ron, pitching to a guy like that.
You know, what I would do, and I think Cal said it, that ball's supposed to be in, it's away, and the ball away, he takes that way. You almost can play him in an opposite shift. You could move Hardy over, you could move the third baseman Flaherty on the line. That's how he's going to go with that pitch with 2 strikes.
Here's the new dad, Lorenzo Cain. Was in Oklahoma for the birth of his son on Tuesday. Fouls off the first pitch.
Lorenzo Cain is the up-and-coming superstar that no one knows about and starting to find out here in the postseason.
The good part about him is he hasn't played the game enough to really learn himself. And what you're seeing is better jumps, better angles in center field, learning himself at home plate. He's got a chance to be a really good all-around player.
He went 2 for 3 in the opener last night. He bats with Aoki at first. To right. That's going to get down. Aoki around second, heading for third. Cain standing at second with a double, and Aoki holds up at third. 2 runners in scoring position off Bud Norris here in the first.
Lorenzo Cain comes out swinging, takes a vicious hack on the first one, now catches this little slider that stays over the plate, and he pushes it down the right field line. And with his speed, he's thinking, no doubt this is a double.
Little body English there by Ned Yost.
Didn't quite have to talk to it like he did last night on the Gordon broken bat. Run scoring double. Here's the cleanup hitter, Eric Hosmer. Royals trying to jump right out on Baltimore here in the first. A little blooper behind short. It's going to fall. 1 run is in. Here comes Kane to the plate. He's safe. It's 2-0 Kansas City. Sounded like Hosmer broke his bat, got enough to get it out of the reach of J.J. Hardy.
Yeah, exactly. This is just a broken bat jam job just over Hardy's head. Lorenzo Cain makes a really good read, and it's coming around third base. I thought Flaherty should have cut that ball off and got the out at second base to minimize this inning, but he couldn't stand it. He wanted to have a chance to throw out Cain at home plate, but right here, it's almost impossible.
Well, even with the stumble by Cain, he was able to beat that. And Hosmer in last night's game, 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. He makes up for it in game 2.
2 runs here in the first, and Hosmer at second. Only 1 out for Billy Butler.
There we go.
Butler went 2 for 4 in the opener and knocked in a run.
Kansas City's been a really good road team all the way through, especially in the second half, and they have not trailed on the road in this postseason.
47 wins. If you count the post, they now have 50 on the road.
There we go.
Waved at that, and it's 0-2.
When we talk about their speed, Lorenzo Cain shows why that speed is important by scoring on that, making a nice read. Hosmer then takes the extra base, gets in the scoring position. They will put pressure on you, not just with the stolen base.
Norris with an 0-2. Butler stays alive, fouled it right back to the screen.
Watching Norris so far, he has not thrown one inside to any of the hitters. Aoki, he tried to go inside, but gave up the hit on the ball outside. Butler was all over, 96 on the outside corner. That tells me as a pitcher, get him off the plate. Throw one inside and then go back out there.
Chevrolet pitch tracks with the arsenal for Bud Norris. The Orioles starter here in game 2. $48,000 wanted it. Marvin Hudson said it missed. A ball and 2 strikes.
If it missed just by a little.
It was Nick Hundley behind the plate last night. Caleb Joseph draws the duties today, catching Bud Norris. Two and 2.
That's a classic pitcher-hitter matchup. And I know you know this, Cal. You can see the numbers with Joseph catching and all the others. When you have a pitcher on the mound who shakes off 3-4 times, it's for a fastball, and usually it's for location. He's thrown everything away, so you knew he had changed it to in. Something you have to stay away from if you're a pitcher.
Hosmer with his lead at second. Shot to first. Pierce knocked it down. The flip to Norris for the out. Hosmer advances to third.
That was a heck of a play by Pierce. That ball was hit right on the screws.
Billy Butler takes it the other way. He sacrifices his body, knowing he's got a little time. Bud Norris makes a nice angle to first base to get him out.
There's always watching Butler there running down to first. That colorful language you use when you hit a ball on the screws, that's right at a fielder.
Kind of muttering to himself, dirty Macafritz. I mean, I'm telling you, it was a bullet. And Pierce did a good job of keeping it in the infield, and then Norris had to sprint over to first to cover.
I personally would not even pitch to Gordon here. I'd pitch to Perez. One's hot and one's freezing.
Gordon 3 for 4 last night. You heard Cal earlier running down his game 1. He was in the middle of everything, defensively, offensively. Took that shot in the neck.
Yeah, and particularly good with 2 out RBIs. He's got 6 of them. He's come through in the clutch. Again, another reason you might think about pitching around him.
Tenth inning last night, no doubt. His first home run of the postseason, 8 postseason RBIs to lead the team. He's also swiped 3 bags and made a brilliant catch in left field early in game 1. There's Hosmer with a lead at third. Tried to check his swing, but he went. Mark Wagner.
Couldn't hold up on his wrist, and the bat head went out in front of home plate. Clearly a swing. And now you got 2 strikes on him. You don't want to pitch around him, but you want to make a pitch here.
Strike 3 called. Gordon caught looking. But the Kansas City Royals with a first inning jump start. Aoki and Kane and Hosmer back-to-back-to-back hits. It's 2-0. Bottom half of the first, the Orioles come to the plate. And here is the batting order that Buck Showalter sends out there. Nick Markakis leads it off. He had 3 hits last night. Diaza in the 2-hole, then Adam Jones. Nelson Cruz, the cleanup hitter, followed by Steve Pearce. J.J. Hardy is the shortstop. Ryan Flaherty had a good night at the plate in the opener. Caleb Joseph is way overdue. And Jonathan Scope is the number 9 hitter against Yordano Ventura.
Well, Ventura, we talked about how strong Norris finished in his last 12 starts. A rookie now, he got stronger. 7-2 down the stretch.
Markakis 3 for 6 last night, and this will be easy for Gordon in left, 1 down. Steve Fiziak has things covered on the Kansas City side, and let's check in for the first time. What you got, Steve?
Ernie, this team really turned the corner in 2006 when they hired Dayton Moore as their general manager. He was much more aggressive in Latin America, and he improved the scouting in Venezuela, and they got Salvador Perez, who became a Gold Glove catcher. Then, of course, they went to the Dominican Republic, improved their academy, moved it closer to the capital, closer to the highway, easier access for talented athletes. One of those athletes was Yordano Ventura, and they signed him at the age of 17. He was 5'10", 140 pounds, throwing in the 80s. 2 years later, he added 20 pounds and 10 miles an hour to his fastball. 2 years after that, added 20 more pounds and was throwing 100. In 2014, he has become one of the best rookie starters in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he lives in that triple-digit neighborhood, and it's an easy 101.
I'm trying to figure out how many times can he gain 20 pounds. He looks really thin right now.
There's a 17-year-old when they signed him out of the Dominican Republic. Just 23. 2 balls and a strike to Diaza. That's a lazy fly ball to center. 2 up and 2 down.
You know, Ventura was only the 4th rookie Royals starter to have 30 starts or more. Sounds like a who's who of the Kansas City Royals as you look at his Chevrolet pitch arsenal. Steve Busby, Dennis Leonard, and Rich Gale are the others. Mostly fastballs, why wouldn't you, at 95 plus?
The story with Ventura, only made 1 relief appearance all year, and then in the wild card game, and of course this was a subject of much discussion, was his relief appearance when James Shields was lifted and he gave up the 3-run homer to Brandon Moss of the A's. The Royals would come back to win that game, and you wondered what the effect of that would be on this 23-year-old. Well, he goes into the Angels series in the DS and pitches 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 95 pitches. Not involved in the decision, as the Royals would win on the Hosmer homer. But no ill effects from that first taste of postseason baseball.
You know, talking to Ned Yost, he said, I don't want to say it's cockiness, but he said this kid has unbelievable confidence in himself and, of course, his stuff.
2 balls and a strike to the Orioles' number 3 hitter, Adam Jones, who was 1 for 5 in the opener.
Yeah, on the first pitch, I saw Salvador Perez tell him to calm down a little bit. He overthrew the first pitch to Adam at 99 miles an hour. Under control so far. That 95 and 96 also works. But as the game starts to get going on in important situations, you'll see him light it up at 100.
Cal, when you're a guy like Adam Jones, and you're obviously it's you, it's Nelson Cruz, who are the 2 guys, I guess you would say, would carry that offense. And you're 188 in the postseason. You're 3 for 16. When do you press, or are you trying to fight the urge to press? Are you feeling the need to be that guy?
Well, I mean, you are that guy. You are the all-star. You do hit home runs. They're relying on you, and you want to be that guy. But you can't fight yourself. You got to play the way you did during the course of the season.
He strikes out to end the first, his 5th strikeout of this postseason. We head to the second.
All day, come on, baby. Got him. Come on, guys, come on. One more. Go, baby, come on.
Nelson Cruz, the DH, and the designated microphone wearer on the Baltimore side today. As we move to the second, Salvador Perez leads it off.
It's interesting, throughout this postseason, we've heard the Kansas City Royals, let's go, let's go. We got the Spanish version from the Orioles, vamos, vamos, from Cruz.
Perez just 130 in the postseason. Was 0 for 4 in the opener. Little blooper, and that's going to find grass. Leadoff single for Perez. This was moments ago. It's a loose bunch. It is a loose bunch wearing that Kansas City uniform.
I was saying in between innings last year, you had the Red Sox blood, sweat, and beards. Well, they're kind of a beards kind of group, except they're too young. They can't grow a beard.
That's kind of the scary part. If your other team's watching them, they have gotten more confident, and they're very talented. And when they're playing this confident, they come through. Home runs, stolen bases, there's a lot of the game that they can play.
Omar Infante takes a strike 0-1, and you think about it, you got things going well, and Gordon last night breaks his bat, bases loaded double, scores 3. You get a broken bat blooper by Hosmer that knocks in 2 in the first inning. Perez gets just enough here in the second to lead off with a single. On the ground by Infante. 6-4. 3 double play. Hardy, Scope, and Pierce turned it. 2 down.
Cal, the Scope, other than Robinson Cano, maybe have the best arm in baseball as a second baseman.
Well, he might be a little past Robinson Cano. He has a cannon for an arm, and he showed it off right there. JJ goes behind the bag, which creates a little different angle for Scope, but he catches it, clears himself, and then fires a rocket across to get Infante. Good turn. And it's not easy getting a lot on that ball when your body's going towards the shortstop.
Orioles put the shift on with Mike Moustakas at the plate.
We're talking about those bloopers. You know, they say it all evens out in the end, but when you're swinging the bat well and your team is swinging the bat well, you stay on the ball longer and you give yourself a chance for that type of hit.
We've seen Moustakas go against this shift. We've seen him line a single to left. We've seen him lay down a bunt.
And that's why Flaherty's staying at least somewhere in his position. But now he's starting to move over after the first pitch.
Yeah, Ryan is there to discourage even any thoughts of bunting.
Bunting came early in the postseason. The home runs have started to pile up. He's feeling a little different about himself now, especially the 2-0 count.
Now you back off on an 0-2 count or a 2-strike count, but also 2-0. You say, okay, you're in a position to get a pitch to drive here. If you want to try to bunt it now, go ahead.
The 2-0. 3 balls and no strikes. Moustakas only hit .212 in the regular season. 15 home runs, 54 runs batted in. Here in the postseason, 5 out of 19. Gone deep 3 times to lead the team and has knocked in 4 runs.
The Orioles have always known he has that power potential. It's nice to get hot in the playoffs.
Takes a strike, 3-1. And the key to last night, not only did Gordon hit the bomb, but the Royals tack on. And it's so important to add those runs so the Orioles, because they put something together in the bottom half of the 10th. But the Moustakas shot put it out of reach. (3-1). Count full. Hey, do we have a microphone down there anywhere near the backstop? There it was last night in the 10th. (3-2) from Norris.
There's got to be some folks in Kansas City that are saying, this is the Moustakas we thought we were going to get a couple of seasons ago. Almost on every pitch, at every at-bat, great plate discipline.
A little late on those last 2. Wouldn't be surprised if he tries to come in.
We talked about the couple of weeks in AAA to work things out for Moustakas. Went down, did his work in Omaha.
Making him shake a couple of times.
Went inside with him. Fought it off.
Well, you don't know the result of this at bat, of course, but this is what the Kansas City Royals do. They just work you and they cut down on their stroke to not strike out. Or try not to.
Tap must have hit him on the foot there at the plate. Kind of hopped out of the box.
Well, after 3 foul balls, he said, okay, I'm going to change the pitch. Came inside with a breaking ball. And again, that's a risk when you're not getting the bat head back to the fastball. If you hang the breaking ball, that just becomes a mediocre fastball down the plate. Made a good pitch with it. Got it down and in. I'm sure he'll probably go back to the fastball now.
Another broken bat. This one's going to be caught. Scope, who was positioned in shallow right field, puts it in his pocket, and that'll do it. Ventura ready to go again, moving to the bottom half of the 2nd here in Baltimore. The suspense continues tonight on Fox, featuring NLCS Game 1 between the Giants and Cardinals at 8 Eastern, and then tune into Fox Sports 1 tomorrow night at 8. to catch game 2 of the NLCS. Don't miss the action. Bottom half of the second inning, and Nelson Cruz leads it off against Yordano Ventura. Ventura has, I'm sorry, Ron, Ventura has faced the Orioles twice. Just wanted to make the point, and he beat them with an 8-inning effort, 5-0 in April, and then in May in Kansas City. The only damage done was a 2-run shot by the guy at the plate, Nelson Cruz.
Rookies this year against the Orioles, rookie starting pitchers were 5-17 with a 5.10 ERA. But one of those wins, one of those 5 wins, was by Ventura, like you just said.
As good as Bud Norris has been at home for the Orioles, Ventura has been very effective on the road. 8-3, ERA of 3.18, 6-7 at home. Dave Island, the Kansas City pitching coach, looking on as Ventura fooled him.
Well, that's 92 miles an hour, but it has the look of a changeup right here, and I would guess it is a hard changeup.
It is,
because he's changing up a fastball that would be 98 or 100 miles an hour. So it's down about 6 or 7 miles an hour.
You can see every pitch that Ventura gets out of his mode, his mechanics are a little off. He was a little underneath that pitch. You can see Perez always has a sign that say, hey, relax, get on top, just throw the ball down.
Cruz draws a leadoff walk here in the second. And let's check in with Matt Weiner.
Hey, Ernie, you know, there was a moment here last night when the Royals failed to score after loading the bases in the 9th inning, when for the first time, and we've been watching this team every game of their postseason run so far, for the first time they look, if not worried, maybe a little stunned. They have ridden an improbable wave to 5 straight wins so far. 3 times already they've hit go-ahead home runs in extra innings. The first time in Major League history that's happened. Of course, 4 postseason extra inning wins already. First time that's ever happened as well. And this is a group that has, for the most part, not been through this before. I spoke to Eric Hosmer today and asked him, how aware are you of the improbability of what is happening right now? And they said, someday we'll look back on all the craziness, but right now we're just trying to play.
Running inside on Steve Pearce. Matt, I know you're on top of everything, and I know you're a proud University of Missouri grad. I went to Georgia, and I've been working up here on my scorebook. I didn't catch a score of the Georgia-Missouri game today. Did you?
No, you know, I'm so focused on the action playing out before me and trying to gather stories for the broadcast. I had completely forgotten they were even playing today.
Yeah, I got you. They get the force at second after Ventura kind of bobbled. Georgia 34, Missouri nothing. 1 out, and Pearce at first.
What happens sometimes, that ball's not hit hard, so as a pitcher, it's almost like you can't wait long enough for the ball to get back at you. Wasn't really hit hard enough to turn to. Nice play by Escobar, not even trying to throw.
He had the look of an infielder, though. A shortstop right there. Got it stuck in his glove for a minute. Threw as if he was giving the feed on a double play. Getting the force out is the most important part of that play. Don't complicate it. Don't rush. Don't play it into an error.
So Pearce reaches on a fielder's choice, 1 down. J.J. Hardy was 1 for 5 in the opener, struck out 3 times.
I always look at the stats against an individual pitcher. J.J. Hardy's got some numbers. Again, it's only a small sample size, 6 at bats, but he's 4 for 6 off of Ventura.
Perez is going to go out there. This entire inning, if you watch the mechanics of Ventura, he's a guy that throws not 3/4. He is more from the top, or at least on top of the baseball. He's underneath it right now, and he's got to have that corrected, and Perez is the right person to talk to him, get back to where you want to be. He gets a nice downward angle on the ball when he is throwing it correctly. Island knows it, and Island knows he doesn't have to go out there because he almost has a coach on the field in Perez.
It's been a big intangible that Perez has brought. His leadership, his ability to calm the excitable times during the playoffs, and then fix mechanics.
3 balls and no strikes to the Orioles shortstop.
hardest part for a young pitcher in playoffs. First inning, your adrenaline is so high. You go out for the second inning, it's like all the air has come out of the balloon for some reason, and you have to rebuild some of that energy.
There's a walk to Hardy. Second walk of the inning. Runners at first and second. Dave Island makes his way to the mound.
Well, he's a confident kid, but this is the playoffs. It is Oriole Park at Camden Yards. It is the best team in the American League East. So you could have a calm, cool demeanor, but inside your stomach and heart are grumbling and stumbling.
And he did issue 69 walks in the regular season, most on the pitching staff. His high was 6. This is Ryan Flaherty in game 1. Now he likes to go after that first pitch. And he sparked the Oriole comeback. They were down 5-1, would eventually tie it. But the Royals, with that extra inning magic they've had in this postseason, took the opener. Flaherty takes 1-0.
Well, Ventura has had some periods of control problem, but it looks like to me he's aiming the ball a little bit. You know, his mechanics are off, and maybe they've gone a little too far. There's a fine line by saying, okay, let's stay within yourself. Don't try to throw 120, but stay within yourself. But when you get into trouble, you got to lean back on your fastball.
Tapped foul up toward first, and that's Wayne Kirby, the Orioles' first base coach.
And maybe in between innings, the first and second, Island with Escobar as the translator really saw it in the first inning that he was a little off his mark.
One ball, one strike. Now 2-1.
It was a good changeup, and it was a great take by Flaherty.
The ranges in his velocity. I mean, the one I called a changeup earlier might very well been a fastball, but it's anywhere from 93 to 99. And normally he averages way up in the 97s and 98s on his fastball.
Rocky second inning for the young right-hander Ventura. 12 balls, 6 strikes in the inning. They are loaded here in the second. Mike Bordick, what you got?
Well, I want to talk about this Orioles offense. It has been a powerhouse offense, but there are many times this season where the bottom third of the order gets overlooked. When there is a let-up, they've been able to take advantage of it. Jonathan Scope, 16 home runs. Flaherty having a great postseason, picked up 3 hits last night, a big walk there. And Caleb Joseph, the man at the plate right now, even though he's been in a slump, has power potential. 5 home runs in 5 straight games for the Orioles this season.
If I were the catcher Perez, I'd go out to Ventura and say, pitch from the windup. You're throwing a little better from the windup. You've struggled from the stretch.
Joseph is 0 for his last 33. Mike Bordick talked about that streak of home runs. That came in August. As you see, Perez with some words of encouragement for Ventura. One ball, one strike. On September 10th, Caleb Joseph went 3 for 5 against the Red Sox in Boston. Hasn't had a hit since. 0 for 30 to finish the regular season, 0 for 3 in the division series against Detroit. And he bats in a huge spot here with the Orioles down 2-0 in the second. In the air to center field. Kane makes the play. Runners tag. The Orioles are on the board. And they're at first and third. Steve Pearce scores the first Baltimore run. Hardy moves to third. So the tying run 90 feet away. Now with 2 down. And Jonathan Scope, the number 9 hitter. Scope went 0 for 3 in the opener.
Ventura has the speed. He's got the movement. He's just got to find the strike zone.
That's a foul ball. Off his foot at the plate. 1-1. Again, the Chevy pitch tracks.
It kind of reminds me a little bit. Zach Britton has a good fastball and moved a lot. He couldn't find the strike zone last night either, missing down. When you do have that sort of movement on your pitch.
Misses with the 1-1, falls behind again.
Well, Baltimore this postseason, they're 2-out risk. With runners in scoring position, they're hitting .471. So they've got huge hits for Buck Showalter. He's responsible for a lot of them.
Base hit here would tie things up.
You know when a pitcher has a good fastball is when you're an accomplished hitter, a good hitter, a fastball hitter, and you know what's coming, and you're still late. Here's the numbers of the Orioles this postseason. The caveat, a lot of that done against the Detroit bullpen.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. To center field. Kane covers so much ground. He put a charge into one, but Kane hauled it in at the track. Orioles on the board. It's 2-1. Expert opinion powered by Ford. We head to the top half of the third. Buck Showalter saw his Orioles cut that deficit in half with a run in the bottom of the second. Now Bud Norris goes back to work against the top of the Kansas City order.
That's a high ERA after your team has gotten you a run or two.
Escobar lined right back to Norris his first time, and he takes low and away 1-0.
If that shutdown stat, if you're still behind in the game and you're kind of getting back in it, does that still count? You come out just because you got to run?
I think it's more important in some ways, because your team has scored. You have to throw up not only one, maybe a couple of shutdown innings to let your team get back in the game. If you score a run and you feel good about yourself, hey, we close the gap, and they come out and score 2 more, boy, that's even worse.
Yeah, but the logic to me is that you get a lead and the team gives you a lead. Then what do you do with that lead in the next inning?
Yeah, I think it scores 10-1. There's no such thing as a shutdown inning.
1 ball and 2 strikes to the Kansas City leadoff hitter. That wasn't always the case this year. Escobar hitting the 2-hole a lot. Aoki was the leadoff hitter, but in September, about midway through the month, Ned Yost made a switch there, and the offense clicked for Kansas City. And that's been the way he's filled out the lineup card since then. Reaches out and taps it to first, and Steve Pearce takes it on his own, 1 down.
Sometimes you can't explain why a shift in the batting order works, but both those guys, Escobar and Aoki, got really red hot.
Aoki carrying that bat like a magic wand. He can move that ball around, and singled his first time. He singled between short and third, and then Lorenzo Cain doubled, and they both came home on a single by Eric Hosmer.
So far, the home plate umpire, Marvin Hudson. Now, he hasn't had a lot to work with because Ventura's been all over the place. but you can see it's a very strict, I call it conservative strike zone. It's going to have to be within that pitch tracks we have to be called a strike.
Isn't that the way it's supposed to be?
Not for pitchers. Not for pitchers. For hitters.
You got a plate there that is so wide, 17 inches wide. If the ball touches the plate, it's in between the knees and the letters, that's a strike.
So I'll take all the pitches that touch that pitch tracks then. They don't call those either. But I know what you're talking about.
2-0. Fouled away, 2 balls and a strike.
I guess if they think the strike zone should be bigger, then make home plate bigger. Make it 19 inches if you want.
If Cal Ripken were
that's,
commissioner.
That's a reference, though. The plate's a reference. It's got to go over the plate.
That's right.
But it looks like he's got a tight strike zone.
There you go.
Hit pretty well to center. Diving is Adam Jones, and he made the play.
Adam Jones can flat out play. We know he can throw. We know he can jump over the fence. But look at this play right here. A little snow cone at the end. Stretches full out for it and holds on to it. What a play.
Putting a blue star in the scorebook for that one. Ned Yost may want to have a look at it. Ball was kind of moving around in the glove, but I don't think he ever lost it.
No, I think he made the play. And you know, we saw in last night's game, Nick Hundley made a fantastic play. 2 good plays, even though there wasn't an out on the cane ball last night by Jones. Here, that play. Adam Jones really one of the few guys on that Baltimore lineup that can match the athleticism of the Kansas City Royals.
We've seen Lorenzo Cain make a couple of those type catches. Adam Jones is saying, I could do it too.
Here is Cain. Norris looking for a 1-2-3 third. Lorenzo Cain, when he first started playing organized ball in high school, was a third baseman. And then he said, you take that many shots in the chest, you want to move to the outfield. High chopper. Hardy gloves it. Cain's got speed, and they call him safe at first. Bang, bang play, and here comes Buck Showalter.
Really close play. Knew it was going to be a tough play for JJ up the middle. Lorenzo runs really well.
Joe West is the umpire at first.
A 2-hopper that takes you up the middle. He gets around it pretty good.
Boy, it's a close one. This could be changed. See that big leap by Cain. Did it cost him? I don't think you can change that. No way.
Toe on the front of the bag right there.
Yeah, the ball's got to be in the glove. So it almost looks like it arrives right at the same time.
Lorenzo Cain, I watch a lot of baseball. He's the fastest big man from the right-hand hitter's box down to first base line.
There's nothing more that JJ could have done on that play. A top spin ball that takes you more towards center field. He got around it nicely, got rid of it really quickly. Lorenzo just beat it.
So Cain's 2 for 2. Double and a single, and here's Hosmer, who knocked in the 2 Kansas City runs in the first inning. It's one of those broken bat bleeders into left, out of the reach of Hardy that scored 2.
Cain had an infield hit in last night's game, was on 4 times. 158 infield hits for the Kansas City Royals this year.
When they start hitting the home runs, they have a very diverse offense. Can manufacture runs, can go first to third, can score on difficult balls from second base. And the infield hit is a weapon.
To me, almost watching game 1, it seemed like they were waiting for Hosmer to hit an extra base hit. Their game has been go early and go often in stealing bases.
You know, with 2 outs especially, if you're hitting, you want the guy to go in the first couple pitches. You're thinking in your back of mind, in your mind, I will take a pitch, I will take a strike to get you to second base so we can get in scoring position. But you don't want to take 2, and you don't want to get down 2 strikes just to give him a chance to get to second base.
Kane was 28 for 33 in the regular season. Count even to Hosmer.
It's almost like a change in philosophy for me. It's almost like they have decided that Hosmer's so hot and exhibiting so much power that maybe we're going to let him hit.
Yeah, I was almost going to say, look, it seems like Hosmer was saying, okay, maybe he is going to steal, maybe not. He looked a little indecisive on that pitch. Didn't seem like he wanted to come out of his shoes. This is a throw over here.
Not a big lead by Kane, who can go back in standing up.
You know, the track meet that we had against the Oakland A's in the wild card game, you know that could break out at any time. And if you're the Orioles, you want to control it, but you don't want to give up your quality pitches to home plate either.
Time called by home plate umpire Marvin Hudson.
And that's a sign. You know, that's a tactic that you'll give a sign that says, okay, come in a set position and hold it. And more times than not, you'll hold it until the batter calls timeout. He's staring out at the mound. It's to get a read on the runner, in this case Lorenzo Cain, to see if he's leaning, see if he wants to get out there, and then you know what to do on the next pitch.
Huge cut by Hosmer, came up empty. Ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, we had a quick peek at Lorenzo, and it didn't look like he had any inkling that he was going to steal there. A shorter lead. Wasn't antsy, wasn't leaning.
After that swing on the breaking ball, though, it's a good time to go if you want now. I think you're going to see another breaking ball to Hosmer.
Well, we talked about the sequence of signs with nobody on base. A sequence of signs with somebody on first base, because the runner many times wants to pick out a breaking ball. And if you can see from the lead, then you don't want to disguise your signs.
Seeing to the catcher's signs, yeah.
Right. The guy on first base will many times get a big enough lead to look in and be able to see some of the signs. So the sequencing makes sense against a speed team with a guy on first base.
Remember, Caleb Joseph throws better than Hundley.
Threw out 40% of runners attempting to steal, and again Hosmer stepped out in a meeting on the mound.
I personally never liked this as a pitcher on the mound. The tempo now has been changed. You're facing the hottest hitter, or one of the hottest hitters for the Kansas City Royals, with 2 outs here. You know, concentration cannot stray away from Hosmer.
Yeah, in many ways, Kansas City is successful because they have changed the tempo.
And that's what the running game does, even when you're not running. The 1-2.
Our good friend Tim McCarver used to always say, right, nothing slows down a game like the speed of the runners.
A lot of pickoff throws, a lot of step-offs, sometimes pitch outs.
Here's Gerard Dyson, involved in a play last night in which he had second stolen, but came off the bag. I know a lot of Kansas City Royal fans think he was forced off. Ned Yost was not of that opinion when we talked to him today. There goes Cain, and the pitch fouled back. And that was interesting because Cain last night made that slide. Scope kept the tag on him. His foot did come off, and when you saw that, when Dyson made that play, and Cal, when you saw it, did you think, hey, he forced him off the bag?
I think he directed his foot a little off the bag. I mean, you can put a hard tag and you keep the tag on him, and you're not supposed to be able to lift him up and push him off the bag. But you're taking the momentum with him, and you're just assisting just a little bit with the tag. I thought Stope did a nice job. I think that's well within the rules.
All right, Kane with the lead at first, and Hosmer waiting. The 1-2 to left, sinking fast, and that's going to fall for a hit. It's off of Diaza, and here comes Kane around third, and they're going to hold him up. Runners at first and third.
Fortunate play there by Diaza, who was trying a very aggressive play, trying to make a big catch, and luckily he blocked this ball, Cal.
Hits a fastball out on the outside edge. Hosmer stays with it, hits a line drive. Just can't quite make that play, but once you're committed, you got to keep the ball in front of you. But with speed, Kane is looking to say, okay, do I have a chance to round this bag and come home? And he was really close to be given the green light.
I know it's more, but it looks like 3 strides between second and third for Lorenzo Kane.
Mike Jerschley, the third base coach, threw up the stop sign. Kane saw it, so they're at first and third with 2 out for Billy Butler.
A little thing, I just saw Kane slow down, watching to see if he made the catch or not. You know, with 2 outs, you have the ability to continue to run. If he makes a shoestring catch, you're out. If he doesn't, you got a chance to keep turning it on. I don't think he would have made it, but it was interesting. Those are some of the small things when you haven't played a lot that you'll learn how to start to do. With two outs, you go in contact, and you just keep running until they stop you.
Well, Bud Norris retired the first 2 here in the third, a grounder to first, and then Adam Jones made a great play sliding in center field. But then Kane singled, Hosmer singled. Butler at the plate with runners at first and third, and takes inside 1-1.
So he breaks right away, and then he kind of breaks it down a little bit, and then he reads the ball, and then now he turns it on. And you're right, Ronnie. He's taking like 3 or 4 strides to get the third. He's running really fast, and it doesn't look like he is. But there's no real reason to read. If he catches the ball, then you shut it down.
I think Buck right there, they always have someone who's watching the monitor. He wanted to know where that pitch was. Looked like a good one from Bud Norris.
Butler's been really good with runners in scoring position in this postseason.
And he goes to right field. That's a base hit, and it's going to score a run. Hosmer is at third. They will hold him there as Butler is sliding into second with a double. 2-out run batted in by Billy Butler, and it's 3-1.
Well, we changed the number, Cal. 4 for 8 now with runners in scoring position for Double B.
So stays on the ball here, drives it to the opposite field. Butler's really good with runners in scoring position of waiting a little longer, taking that pitch just a little bit inside and getting one he can handle.
A 2-out rally here for the Kansas City Royals. Dave Wallace out to speak to his pitcher. Hosmer hustling just in case.
There's a bobble down the corner or anything.
Steve Fisiak, what you got?
I was going to talk about Lorenzo Kane's speed. This past offseason, Dr. Benson Key, the Royals team doctor, had Lorenzo work with Al Hobson, who's the Kansas City, Kansas Community College track coach, and they really wanted him to work on his sprinting. He has twice as many infield hits this year, and his ability to go first to third has been amazing this year as well, and he attributes a lot of that to Al Hobson at Kansas City, Kansas Community College.
The Royals have runners at second and third for Alex Gordon. Brad Brock, who's the only Oriole reliever who did not pitch in the opener, is loosening up in the Baltimore bullpen.
Again with the base open and the 3-1 lead, I would not pitch to Gordon with 2 outs. I would pitch to Perez. Just too dangerous. He's locked in.
1-0. Called strike, 1-1.
I don't know whether it's the confidence, the youth, good coffee, white egg omelet, but they have outscored the opposition in the post 16-6 now in the first 3 innings have the Kansas City Royals. They've been getting off the quick starts.
Gordon ranked number 5 in the American League, hitting with runners in scoring position this year. And he knocked in 4 runs in the opener. First round pick in 2005. I said last night that Dayton Moore had drafted him. Dayton Moore came the year after. And we've said a lot of nice things about what Dayton has done, and he has made some great moves and some great draft choices, but I booted that one. Gordon waiting on a 1-2 and stays alive.
Well, you might have booted it, Ernie, but the player that Ned Yost and Dayton wanted on this team was an athletic player, a player who could play defense, a guy who doesn't strike out a lot, a leader. Gordon represents all of that.
Runs the bases really well, smart base runner, can take a bag.
Hosmer and Butler, your runners. Bud Norris trying to limit the damage here in the third. 1 run already in.
You keep cringing because you got first base open, but there's a lot of benefit from taking a shot at pitching out, because your margin for error when you put them on, when you pitch around them, then your margin for error for the next hitter with the bases loaded, you have no place to put them. If you can make your pitches,
yeah,
that's what you have to have confidence in.
Good look at, that's the area where Alex Gordon got hit in the neck last night.
The ball just got away. There was no real intent there, but it's awful good if you can come back up to the plate and have that not affect you, and in his case hit a home run. You got to stand on that breaking ball.
Scary moment. See the umpire Tim Timmons caught Gordon.
Threw off the top of the shoulder and quite a bit of helmet, but it also got quite a bit of neck.
Gordon 3 for 7 off Norris in his career.
Gordon took a called third strike his first time. And now he'll get a payoff pitch with 2 on and 2 out.
He's had 6 2-out RBIs, all with 2 strikes.
Took a fastball to strike out the first time up with the base open. Will Norris go with his good hard breaking ball?
Didn't mean to and fouled it off, and we'll do it again at 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Good call on the breaking ball, the good hard breaking ball. Did you see the sign?
I did not see the sign. No, I was just thinking what I would have done. Joseph now is out. I've run out of numbers. What do you want to do, bud?
As a hitter with first base open, you have to convince yourself that they're not necessarily pitching around you. Still look for a good pitch to hit. Still have your normal at bat.
Lots of pitches for Bud Norris. There's 4 or 5 outs that you have to get in a game if you're a starting pitcher to have a successful game. This certainly is one of them.
Royals edge away from second and third. And Gordon, a strikeout victim for the second time in 3 innings. But Billy Butler comes up big with 2 out. And the Royals are on top, 3-1.
He reached so much from there. He is kind of like, ah.
That's a pretty good description by Nelly Cruz of what he saw from Lorenzo Cain as he beat out the infield hit. You know, you see this. John Brinkus on ESPN does the sports science, and they broke down Lorenzo Cain the other day. Talked about his 8-foot strides, and he can reach 20 miles an hour. Talked about the way he breaks on a ball in the outfield, can reach 15 miles an hour in 1.5 seconds, and liken that to Richard Sherman of the Seahawks on his closing speed. And you saw when he beat out that infield hit that Hardy tried to throw him out. Man, he has got some strides.
I don't know about that. That was more Usain Bolt than Richard Sherman.
Well, they say you're supposed to run all the way through the bag, as if the finish line might be 5 or 6 feet behind the line. But he stretched it out there, whether it was 8 feet. I think that last ride might have been 10.
Nick Markakis, top of the Baltimore order, leading it off here in the last of the third. Markakis flying out to left his first time. It was a 1-2-3 first for Ventura. And then he struggled with his control in the second. Tapped to short. Escobar. One down. Where will you be the next time history is made? Be there for all the action in 2015. Go to MLB.com/season tickets to reserve your seat today.
I thought you were going to say, where are you going to be the next time the Royals play an extra inning game?
It's been amazing to watch in this run. After waiting 29 years to get back in the postseason, and 4 of the 5 games going to extra innings, and they've won them all. 12 innings, 11 innings twice, and 10 innings in the opener of this series.
You know, there's a real impetus, guys, on the starting pitchers today to try to go as deep as they can. The bullpen was so depleted in last night's ball game. James Shields only went 5 innings.
Ventura's showing a nice arsenal of some secondary pitches. That was a really good breaking ball.
That was a good pitch. That was a strike. I think that fooled the umpire. That's how good it was.
And he's also thrown a couple really good changeups.
On the ground, pass first, fair ball. That's into the corner and right. Piazza's got great speed, and he pulls into second with a 1-out double.
Here's one of those changeups right here that he doesn't get down in the strike zone. Hosmer makes a dive for it. Once the ball gets to the corner, no chance for him at second base.
Best part of that play was Joe West dancing with the stars, getting out of the way of that baseball. Easy, Joe. Just trying to be funny.
Here's Adam Jones. Another big moment for the Baltimore Star. Struck out his first time. Got a runner for him out there, and he takes high, tight, 1-0.
We talked about his first at bat. You know what happens. Pitchers get amped and their fastball gets up in the strike zone. They throw harder and they don't have the same control. A hitter getting amped, you get out a little bit too fast, your swing becomes a little long. So you want to make sure you get a good pitch to hit. Stay within yourself. When we interviewed Buck, I mentioned Adam, and it looks like to me he's a little quieter on his front side. He's not striding out there as hard. He's seeing the pitches and letting it come to him. So he's not expanding the strike zone. He looks more hitterish than he did last time he played the postseason.
There's 48,000 people waiting for him to break out.
And he just crushed this to left field, and he just broke out.
This is power against power right here. A 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and I don't know how hard it went out, but it got out of here quickly. A low line drive into the seats.
Right back where we started, all tied up. Here's Nelson Cruz.
A symbolic elephant just fell off the back of Jones.
Does that mean some of the pressure has been reduced?
When he struck out in the first, it made him 3 for 17 in the postseason. A little nubber behind the pitcher's mound. I've seen a couple of those in this series, and that's in the glove of Infante for the second out. This thing was smoked.
You know, I've given up around 250 home runs in my career. I don't know if I've ever heard one that sound. I mean, kayak out of here.
John Russell had a watch. Was he timing how fast he got out of the ballpark?
Popped up and out of play. Speaking of John Russell, and speaking of giving up home runs, his first big league home run came off of ding, ding, ding.
I'm on a big list. I got a large list of folks that have great stories for their grandchildren forever.
Ball and a strike to Steve Pearce. Take through the wickets and all the way back to the screen. 2-1.
I can't get over Perez's attitude. He's just having fun playing in the playoffs, isn't he? Ball comes off the back wall, kind of moves the umpire out of the way, picks the ball up.
Pierce way out in front, 2-2.
That's a really good changeup right there. Pierce is set for the fastball, hunting the fastball. Changeup comes in at 83, totally fools him.
And he blew him away at 98. But the Baltimore Orioles get the long ball from Adam Jones. The team that led baseball in home runs hits its first of this series, and it ties the game. Let's take a look at today's playmakers presented by the all-new Chrysler 200. Matt Carpenter. See what he's done in the NLDS. Here in 2014, hit .375. Cardinals dispatching the Los Angeles Dodgers. And we'll open things up with the San Francisco Giants tonight. Salvador Perez just picked on the first pitch he saw and hit it foul a mile.
Now, by that definition of a shutdown inning, this is an important inning.
There you guys go again. The continuing shutdown innings discussion with Bud Norris.
There's always a meaning behind the stat. If you are behind 5-0 and you inch your way back in, 2-1, then you're supposed to try to get yourself team back in the game. But if your team ties the game up, this is an important inning.
So your shutdown more based on momentum. You've got the momentum in your dugout now. Keep it there.
That's how I would interpret it.
But from a pitcher's perspective, Ron, every inning's a shutdown inning for you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You don't have a lot of shutdown innings, you're shut down. Shut down to AAA.
No balls and 2 strikes. Norris deals to Perez, and Joe West says he did not go. Buck Showalter says, I think he did. Not exactly those words, but you get the idea.
Well, in today's game, that's definitely a swing. The bat crossed the plate, wrist broke just enough.
That was a swing.
The 1-2. In the air behind first. Who wants it? Markakis. 1 down. Not only does
Bud Norris need a shutdown inning, but more importantly, he needs an inning of a few pitches, less than 10 pitches, so he can get deeper in this game. His pitch count is high.
Looking like he had one of those in the works in the third. Got the first 2 outs pretty quickly, and then Kansas City strung together back-to-back hits and scored a run. That made it 3-1, and then Adam Jones had the answer in the bottom half with the 2-run shot.
Guys, the lineup presents you something, and when you go out there and you're facing 7, 8, 9, you look at that as a starting pitcher as a gift. And the gift is I've got to get to these 3 guys. That gives me a free inning until I have to turn the lineup over to the better hitters. But you better get through the 3, or now they're on base with the better hitters coming up.
Hit well right at Flaherty at third. Throws a strike across the diamond for the second out.
Infante with a couple good swings, fouled a fastball straight back, and then hit that breaking ball right at Flaherty.
Although Moustakas is not your average 9th place hitter in the postseason.
3 postseason home runs, has knocked in 4 runs. He went deep last night in the decisive 10th inning.
Big insurance 2-run homer.
Off the corner, 0-1. Kansas City, best road mark was 47-34, and here in the postseason, played 3 games on the road, extra innings in each of those, extra inning home runs in each of those, winning twice in Anaheim and once here in Baltimore. You see again how they're swung around for Moustakas. His first time, he popped to Scope, who's playing in shallow right.
When you look out at Scope, he's playing deep enough. You just look over your shoulder and see Markakis. Looks like you have 2 right fielders.
That's like the rover you have in softball.
Scope's arm, it's an advantage. If you have a good arm, you can play a little deeper in the shift. Earlier they had Manny Machado from third go over there with that same good arm and taking advantage of that arm strength to throw the ball from short right field.
I wonder for younger kids, there's some fields out there that some kids will play on that because of maintenance they don't have the dirt infields. It's all grass or turf. Maybe it's easier for the younger athlete or younger infielder to field on the grass.
Norris looking for a 1-2-3 inning. And not yet. It's a pretty good pitch.
Now, when you said you wanted the pitch tracks right on the edge, that's what you're talking about?
When it turns green, that means go.
Pretty good pitch right there.
Yeah, close pitch. Hey, listen, every umpire has their type of strike zone. Marvin Hudson has been the same since the game started.
2-2. I'll tell you one thing about Moustakas. He will fight you up there.
Got a lot of blue-collar kind of athletes on this Kansas City Royals team. Nice representation of their town, right?
Had a 9-10 pitch at bat first time around against Norris. And he's fought off a couple of 2-strike pitches here. To right field. Look at Mike Moustakas. The Moose is loose again. Two-strike home run that breaks the tie. The number 9 hitter in the Kansas City order has 4 round trippers.
This is a hard slider that just stays right there over the plate. He was fighting off the fastball a little bit behind, and that is one of those examples. As the slider spins and stays over, it's just a mediocre fastball with 2 strikes. And he puts it in the first row.
You made that point, Cal. Behind the fastball, if you throw the slider, you speed up his bat. I mean, this is just amazing what Moustakas has done. It's not like he exhibited any power down the stretch.
1 home run in the last 163 at bats, and 4 in the postseason.
One thing we have seen in the course of the division series and here in the ALCS, Kansas City playing from out in front. It took forever for the Angels to grab a lead in that series. It didn't come till game 3, and it only lasted about 15 minutes as Escobar bunts foul. But remember, they took the lead in the first inning of game 3, and Kansas City came back with 3 in the bottom half and never looked back.
Again, that momentum from the shutdown inning, you know, it looks like you're going to get out of it, and all of a sudden with one swing of the bat, it can take the crowd a little bit out of the action. And when you're playing Kansas City, you got to keep in the back of your mind, you know, it's a 6-inning game before we might be in trouble that they go to the big 3 out in their bullpen.
A ball and 2 strikes to Alcides Escobar, who grounds it up toward third, and that's foul.
Boy, that ball hit the cutout and darted to the left of Flaherty. He got to it in time, of course, but it'll tell you how the cutout from the grass and the dirt sometimes can make that ball jump one way or the other. Well, he knows it's going to be foul. Watch it hit the cutout.
Ooh, pay attention, and he did.
That ball comes back before third base, or it hits the base, that's a fair ball.
Well, then, if that was, everyone else in the postseason would just quit right there. Don't need any more games. Stop it. It's done.
Escobar strikes out to end the top of the 4th. But not before Mike Moustakas did it again. High and deep to right. And they're hanging their heads, but there's a long way to go.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Bottom of the 4th at Camden Yards. J.J. Hardy leads it off. And takes inside from Ventura. 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes. So moments after the Orioles had tied things up, Mike Moustakas untied them. Solo homer and a 4-3 Kansas City lead. There's a strike. Hardy walked his first time and takes a strike and didn't think much of that.
Well, I think the problem for Hardy is that, hey, listen, you just gave him the high strike. You can't give him the low one also.
Two-two. And he waves at it and goes down swinging. Moments ago, we spoke with Royals pitching coach Dave Island. Dave, we saw you early in the game. Looks like you had Escobar and you were trying to relay a message to Ventura. What was that all about?
Just, you know, these guys are going to try and buy some time and step out of the box. You just can't let it get to him. You know, you just got to stay under control, pitch his game, you know, stay within himself and continue to attack.
Hey, Dave, does Salvi do a good job of helping you out there in the field, being like an assistant pitching coach to help with Ventura's mechanics?
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's gotten better as the years gone on. Obviously, he understands my hand signals, but he also understands Ventura too. So, yeah, he's a huge help for me out there.
Ryan Flaherty takes high and away, 2-0. No man is an island. It's John Donne.
John Donne.
The English author, poet. Obviously never met the Royals pitching coach. Matt Weiner, what you got?
Well, you know, Ernie, since the Royals have been mowing down everybody so far and remain unbeaten in the postseason, they haven't really had to mind the depth of their rotation so far. They've only started 3 pitchers in the playoffs, with Ventura making his second start today. Only Jason Vargas has started a single game, and James Shields 3 games so far. Presumably, barring extensive postponements due to weather, which is a possibility in Kansas City, that's going to change in Game 3 with Jeremy Guthrie scheduled to make the Game 3 start. Guthrie hasn't pitched since September 26th. That was the day the Royals clinched a spot in the postseason, and he'll be making his very first postseason appearance.
All right, thank you, Matt. Jason Vargas, who started the ALDS.
See, there's a pecking order in the bench and the bullpen. Since you're a starting pitcher, you don't even get a slot. You got to have your own chair.
Popped up in the infield. Escobar calls and squeezes it for the second out. Ventura got the Orioles in order in the first. Trying to do it again here in the fourth. And I think what Dave Island had to say about the message he wanted to get across kind of tells you what you're going through in a postseason situation with a 23-year-old on the road, and just some of the things that go into this. That aside from give me the ball, let me throw it.
Well, as far as pitching is concerned, that's probably like second or third grade stuff. But that's where he's at. He's just beginning his career. That's something as a veteran, of course, you know that. And who cares if they step out or how many times they step out? When you're ready, I'll be ready.
And a young pitcher can get rattled by that. You know, again, we've emphasized how base stealing and the threat of stealing will mess up your tempo. There are other things that will mess up your tempo too, and that was one example.
No balls and 2 strikes to Caleb Joseph, whose sacrifice fly in the second got the Orioles on the board. And he lines one to left. Base hit. And the long drought is over for the rookie Baltimore catcher. He had been 0 for his last 33, dating back to September 10th.
He got 2 good at bats though. Sacrifice fly to center, and then falling behind in the count right there, and ripping a single to left.
Here's Jonathan Scope. Hit pretty well, and Infante did a great job, handled that in-between hop and threw him out. That does it for Baltimore in the fourth. 1-run game here at Camden Yards.
This 2014 ALCS telecast on TBS is brought to you by the new Samsung Galaxy Note 4. The next big thing is here. And by your new truck, Ford F-150.
Moving to the top half of the fifth in Game 2 of the American League Championship Series here on TBS. Kansas City has not trailed on the road in the postseason, and they lead it 4-3. Nori Aoki takes a strike, 0-1.
Aoki, when he comes to the plate and leads off an inning, in the 7th inning yesterday, he tried to work a walk and got one.
Aoki singled in the first and scored a run, and And he lined one to center field in the third that Adam Jones made a great catch on. Jones would later homer. The 0-2 pitch from Bud Norris. Tried to paint, missed 1 and 2. It's like our friends at the Hilton, right outside the ballpark, are again out there on the balcony on an overcast day, kind of a cool day, but dry, and taking in the action here in Game 2 of the ALCS. Count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. '86 pitches now for Bud Norris. And we have just begun the top half of the 5th. Danced out of the way, and it's 3 and 2.
Well, this is what Aoki did so well while he was a Milwaukee Brewer, star in Japan, an amazing player, and I thought a big trade for the Royals this winter. They needed a leadoff hitter. They brought him over. He did his job, but now here, as you mentioned before, Cal, in September it's turned around. He's become a great second-place hitter.
But Norris has the ability to get ahead, but he hasn't just been able to finish off hitters. Just missing outside the strike zone, in and out.
Tap towards second. Look at Norris flag that down and make the play. 1 out here in the 5th. Moments ago, we spoke with Orioles pitching coach Dave Wallace. So, Dave, you look at Bud Norris now. A lot of pitches. He could have gotten out of some situations in 1, 2, 3 innings, but boy, 2-out runs have really hurt. How long can he go today?
Well, we're hoping to go as long as we can. We need to get some outs out of our starters before we go to the pen. But you're right. You know, the last couple innings, you get 2 quick outs, and we're not real efficient with the next few hitters. We've got to get out of those situations, and we just haven't done it so far.
Hi, Dave. It's Ron Darling. I know you're always looking for the offense to help your pitchers. It's nice to see Adam Jones break out. Yeah, it really is, Ron. It's nice to see that. You know, I think at some point we're going to break out anyway, but our job is to control the damage. You know, we haven't been real efficient the last 2 nights and making some mistakes, as you guys can see, up in the zone. And at this time of year, you just don't get away with it.
Much thanks to Dave Wallace for his time between innings. Lorenzo Cain stands in. He's 2 out of 2, a double and a single, and has scored twice.
Dave Wallace considered by many the dean now of pitching coaches and one of the best there's ever been in the game. Went through some health issues, was away from the game for a few years. Baseball's richer because he's back in.
He's manned that spot with the Dodgers and the Mets and the Red Sox and the Astros. Line drive over Hardy into left, base hit. Lorenzo Cain is 3 for 3. What's on your mind, Mike Bordick?
Well, Dave Wallace made some great points. He needs his starting pitchers to get a little bit deeper, but this Royals offense is not helping them at all. They're still looking for their first clean 1, 2, 3 inning here in this ALCS. Now, they know that this Royals team, they don't strike out, they don't walk, they're going to be pesky at the plate and battle every at bat. But if the Orioles want to take the wind out of the Royals' sails, they're going to need a couple clean innings.
All right, thanks a lot, Bordy. And Buck Showalter makes his way to the mound. Brad Brock, who's the only reliever who didn't pitch in the opener, gets the call here in the 5th inning. Bud Norris departs. It is time for Records and Milestones, presented by Jim Beam. Again, trying to put into perspective all these extra inning games played by the Kansas City Royals in this postseason run.
Boy, 4 extra inning wins. Go-ahead home runs in the extra innings. They have not trailed on the road in the postseason yet. Undefeated. We can fill up that whole category.
For more records and milestones, go to BleacherReport.com. Here's a line on Bud Norris to this point. He departs with Lorenzo Cain at first. His responsibility. And here is Brad Brock.
Well, the hard-throwing right-hander. You see the games he appeared in this season. Good luck charm with that 7-1 record coming out of that bullpen. He's got a good fastball, sometimes with cutting action. Also has a changeup that he'll use against the left-handed hitter.
And he will face Eric Hosmer with Cain at first. Hosmer's broken bat. Bloop single in the first, scored the first 2 runs. And there's a strike. It looked like they were going to pitch out, and he threw a strike.
Well, he didn't. In fact, what happened, because the catcher Joseph got up to make the throw, he took the strike away from the pitcher. The home plate umpire Marvin Hudson did not call it a strike. Did not raise his right hand. Probably lost sight of that strike pitch from Brock because of Joseph getting up to throw.
Ran it in and missed. 2 balls and no strikes. Let's take a look at that first pitch.
I mean, it splits the heart. Well, maybe not splits the heart, but on the pitch track, it's on the corner, but it could have been a strike. Brock has a breaking ball, a good curveball, but it's that cutting action on his fastball that makes him nasty at times.
Throw over. Cain back.
It was closer than you think because the throw kind of went right into the armpit of Cain, the arm of where Pierce made the tag. It's a little wide, the throw, and it puts him right on Lorenzo Cain.
Hosmer 2 out of 2. Batting in the 5th, and again, Brock throws over.
So it tells me that Cain before had a lead where he could get back standing up. He's now diving back every time. That makes me feel like he's more runner-ish. No, it's not a word, but it's used in baseball.
It works here.
I used hitterish already.
3-0. Getting it done in the engine room of the Kansas City offense today. 3, 4, 5 hitters, 6 for 7. 3 runs batted in. And of course, they get the daily contribution from the 9-man, Mike Moustakas. There goes Cain. Here comes the throw. And he's got it stolen easily. Ball bounces away. So Cain is in scoring position.
Now, very unusual stealing on a 3-0 pitch. But many times the pitcher will not pay much attention to you on that 3-0 pitch, just assuming you're not going to risk it. Robbie Alomar, old teammate of mine, loved to steal on 3-0 for that reason.
Changed so fast that he was able to look in while he was stealing second base.
3 balls, 1 strike to Hosmer. Ball 4, first and second.
Again, Buck has to deal with a young reliever coming out. Nerves. Can he throw strikes?
Brock used to pitch for the Padres. Was traded to Baltimore. He's a big New Jersey kid who married a country music singer and songwriter, Janae Cherry. He's just about into his wine. He went ahead and threw it, but time had been called.
It was the catcher that requested time by the umpire, so no one to blame but your battery mate.
Normally that's for some confusion on the pitch. Maybe you went through a sequence of signs and he wasn't sure that it registered because he went into his windup too soon or his stretch position too soon.
Billy Butler takes a strike 0-1. Well, they've not been on the same page. He pitched out, and Brock threw a strike with Hosmer at the plate.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that was a pitch out. I mean, it could have been a reaction from a bluff. And the footwork is really quick from Joseph. He just got in a good throwing position and blocked out the pitch.
Butler fouled it back, and he's behind 0-2.
Well, you always have the threat with Kane, Escobar, and others that there's could be a double steal. So what does Hosmer do? He gets in a sprinter stance at first base just in case he wants to be the back end of a double steal.
I understand the logic, but that puts you at risk on a back pickoff. You have to be in a position to go both directions.
Butler knocked in the third Royal run in the third, and he stays alive. As they made the pitching change to Brad Brock, see Billy Butler and Dale Swaim, the Royals hitting coach, going over the book.
These guys get here at 10 o'clock in the morning. Can't they do it before the game?
A lot of stuff going on here at the park, Ronnie. Come on.
Normally that's just a reminder what stuff he has. But the best thing that you can do is stand on the on-deck circle and watch him warm up.
In the air to left field. Drifting back is Diaza. Kane will tag and bluff and go back to second.
Butler just missed that pitch, by the way.
One of the things you're seeing a little bit more in those notebooks now, they have tendencies on what counts they throw what pitches, and many hitters like to find something that they can hold on to in a count.
Wouldn't it confuse you sometimes, though? 2-1, 65% of the time he throws a slider. What if you get a fastball? It seems like it could confuse a hitter at times.
It matters mostly on a two-strike pitch. You got to guard the plate and you got to be ready, because there's 40% of the time, you know, in that example you used, that you're going to be wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're up in the count 2-1, 1-0, you might take a chance or look for a pitch if the tendency's high enough.
Third time today that Alex Gordon has come to the plate with at least one runner in scoring position. He's been called out on strikes twice. And he's behind 0-2.
So without the data, we used to call them, I just forgot what I was going to call it. They're not tendencies anymore, they're patterns. That's what you look at. You watch and you remember a pattern, and you might not have the data to fill that, but now they do. It's a tendency, not a pattern.
Got him swinging. Danger averted in the fifth by Brad Brock.
Get two! Get up, ball! Get up! Get up! Yeah!
Nelson Cruz due up fourth this inning as the top of the order comes to the plate for Baltimore against Yordano Ventura. Bottom half of the fifth.
We described that low line drive that Adam Jones hit, and Cruz confirmed it. He was saying, get up, as if it didn't have enough height to get over the fence.
Well, then he's the only one in the ballpark that didn't think that was out of the ball. I mean, right off the bat.
The thing was still rising when it hit the seats. Ball and a strike to Markakis, who's 0 for 2. Was 3 for 6 in the opener last night. Orioles trail at 4-3. That Jones homer tied it momentarily before Mike Moustakas went deep for Kansas City. So Baltimore in search of its first lead in this series as we play in the 5th in game 2.
To me, when I watch Ventura, the one mistake he's made, he's never established his fastball. He's got a good changeup, he's got a good breaking ball, but he's never established on the corner his fastball. He's lucky he throws 95 plus, so even when he throws it down the middle, he can sometimes get away with it. But establish that pitch first, then you use your secondary pitches. But I've seen him shaking Perez off a lot, so he has his own way of pitching today.
During the season, he averaged 97 miles an hour for that fastball. So for every 101 mile an hour fastball, then he threw maybe a 95 or a 94. Today, we're seeing him down a little bit lower, 93 to the 98 range.
Up and away, full count.
Which a lot of pitchers would love to use that stuff.
The 23-year-old has thrown 75 pitches, and this is a big one here in the bottom of the 5th. A 3-2 pitch to the leadoff hitter, Markakis. To the gap in right center field. Kane has it for the first out. Steve Physiak, what's on your mind?
Ernie, even though Ventura led the team with 69 walks this year, he had very few innings as wild as that second tonight. And I watched both Salvador Perez and pitching coach Dave Island talk to him between the 2nd and 3rd inning, and they were telling him to relax, stop rushing. And as Ron said earlier in the game, he was getting underneath the baseball.
All right, thank you, Steve. One down here in the 5th for Alejandro Diaza.
Ernie, I want to apologize because when you make the call of the balls in the gap against the outfield of Kansas City, I always have a little chuckle because I don't know if there is a gap.
Very few hit grass out there, that's for sure. Those outfielders are so quick. Ball off the bat. Looks like it's a gapper. And you look up again and somebody's standing there, Aoki or Kane. Dyson in late innings. Line drive over first. Diaza with a 1-out single. You saw Dave Island on the phone. I see him shaking things up out there in the Kansas City bullpen.
Diaza swinging the bat really well. Lines the ball into right field. See if Adam can't build off of that last at bat. Many pitchers, you take that fastball away from them, and now you don't look for that fastball anymore. Maybe look for a secondary pitch, a changeup, or a breaking ball. Looks like they're going back to the fastball, though.
He put one into the seats and left in the 3rd. And tied the game at 3.
If you are going to use the fastball, then they want to run it in on him. They thought they left it out over the plate, and they're going to run it back in on him. And there's the changeup.
Here it was, bottom 3. 4-iron into the 12th row.
And many hitters will just hit off the fastball. Few hitters will go up there and say, okay, I hit his fastball. Let me look for something else.
Jason Frazier is warming for Kansas City as we play in the 5th.
Well, we talked about Chris Tillman yesterday. He was so good at holding runners. In his career, young career, only 1 stolen base against the young right-hander.
In the air to right. Aoki on the run. It's going to fall in for a hit. Runners are going to be at 1st and 3rd with 1 out.
Dave Island back out to speak to Ventura. What I found interesting in yesterday's game, that fastball in, it looked like Jones was trying to pull it. This time he inside-outed that ball, Cal.
I think he was laying for an off-speed pitch and still, again, has the ability to fight that off. When he's going well, he'll fight that pitch off the other way. That's a good sign for the Orioles and Adam.
Piazza easily goes first to third. Jones with his second hit of the game. And a threat here in the fifth for Baltimore.
There was a big moment in the game yesterday where Cruz hit the ball right on the nose, but it was a two-hopper to Escobar, who started the double play.
Had a chance to put the Orioles ahead. Big double play by Kansas City to end that inning.
Strike on the corner, 0-1. Cruz walked his first time. And popped to Infante his second.
Didn't look like Cruz liked that pitch at all, neither did Buck.
On the ground, Escobar with the backhand. There's one. The throw to first. Safe. Tying run scores.
Heck of an effort by Escobar. Tries to turn this tough play into a double play. And Cruz barely beats it. Hard hit ball in the hole. He makes that patented Jeter jump. Throws it over that darn near, turns that double play.
Adam Jones has been right in the middle of it after a frustrating start to his postseason. Here's Steve Pearce. So we're tied once again. 4 apiece. 2 outs in the bottom of the fifth and a runner at first. Fly ball to right that Aoki should handle with ease, and does. And that does it for the Orioles in the fifth. But they tie things up, and we head to the sixth, 4-4. With your best take me out to the ball game. You might be featured in game 4 of the World Series. We are in the top half of the sixth here in game 2 of the ALCS. And we're all tied up at 4. Brad Brock back on the mound after coming on in relief of Bud Norris in the fifth. He walked the first man he faced and then got the next 2 outs. For the third time in this game, Salvador Perez leads off an inning because Alex Gordon has struck out 3 times to end innings with runners in scoring position. Perez singled his first time and was wiped out in a double play.
And Brad Brock really has a chance to be a hero here for the Orioles. If he can get some length for Buck Showalter, because the starter Norris wasn't able to go long, that would be huge. So every time the Orioles score, it seems like Kansas City has an answer.
Well, yeah, I love that. Getting an edge, the heater down there, a little cold. Worst thing you'd have is a cold bat in your hand. Get a little heat on it, warm it up. Feels a whole lot better in your hands. Doesn't seem like it's cold enough, though, for that yet.
More like cheating to me. I don't know about getting an edge.
In the air to center field.
It'd be cheating if the pitcher grabbed the pine tar part of your bat and used it out there in the mound.
If this goes 7, I may have to step in between you two.
That's all right. I've seen Cal wrestling a couple people already, so.
Those days are over, Ron. Just being playful now.
You still got the knuckle. For anyone who walks with you, we walk in fear.
That's the secret weapon.
It's not a secret. 0-1 to Infante. One ball, one strike.
Good assortment of pitches that we're seeing right now.
Brad Brock on the left, Caleb Joseph on your right. Another fly ball, shallow center. And Jones again, quickly and easily, 2 up, 2 down. And Mike Moustakas steps to the plate, and this is what he did in the top half of the 4th. Never has a man been so unhappy to catch a ball. That broke a tie, put Kansas City back on top. The Orioles have since tied it up again. Willie Mays Aikens. Yeah, how about that? The power production by the number 9 hitter in the Kansas City order, Mike Moustakas. Tried to sneak in the back door, but couldn't.
He's got that good straight fastball cutter against lefties, but you saw against Alex Gordon, it's that changeup he likes to get the lefties out with.
The 9th hitter is being pitched like he's number 4 hitter right now. Very carefully.
Line drive, base hit. Hit it right over the shift. And a 2-out single for Moustakas. We've seen this played out already in this game. We saw Bud Norris early in the game get a couple outs, first 2 hitters of an inning, and then struggle. And we'll see if Kansas City can turn this into a scoring opportunity with the top of the order. And Alcides Escobar at the plate.
This Kansas City offense is the little train that keeps on chugging. I mean, they don't care how many outs there are. A fight for every at bat.
Here comes your warm bat theory, Cal.
I'd take Moustakas' warm bat right now. It doesn't have to be in front of a heater. It's a magic wand right now.
Escobar 0 for 3. And behind in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. That get Matt Weiner down there?
Well, I'm not worried about Bordy. Bordy's got good hands. I don't know about Matt.
Did anybody make the play down there? No, okay.
It looks like Bordy's got his hands in his pockets, though.
0-2 pitch. Missed outside and low. 1-2. Two balls, 2 strikes.
That's a big sliding cutter, isn't it?
It really
94 miles an hour.
Remember that phrase that used to be used? Crossfire. It's kind of a crossfire. Throws 3/4. So for the right-hander, it starts at your hip and slides all the way across the plate.
Escobar wouldn't offer it that one. Count even. Moustakas leads from first. And now the count full.
And there's a changeup from the same arm angle. Cross-firing. Threw it down in the dirt. A little unorthodox. Hides the ball pretty well. You can see why he's effective.
Selected by the Padres in the 42nd round. Those guys never make it to the major leagues. And here he is pitching in game 2.
2012, he led National League rookie relievers in appearances. And came out of the pen 46 times for the Orioles. That's fouled. Just got a piece. And we'll do it again. Caleb Joseph felt the brunt of that one.
And that home plate umpire and the catcher, of course, have that almost fraternity of guys that get hit by the foul baseball. So they give each other time to recover.
There goes Moustakas on the 3-2 pitch, and we'll wind it up again.
Has the confidence to throw that 3-2 breaking ball.
That's a moment that fan will never forget. The day that Omar Infante, I'm an Oriole fan, but Omar Infante threw me a foul ball in a playoff game. Reaches out, pokes it, and look at the spin on that, and Scope made the play. Boy, that was tricky. Scope made the play for the 3rd out. We're still tied.
This 2014 ALCS telecast on TBS is brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors. Mitsubishi Motors invites you to find your own lane. And by Edward Jones, a big financial services firm that doesn't act that way.
Tie game, bottom 6. J.J. Hardy fouls off the first one he sees. 0-1. So here's the way the last inning ended. How about the spin on this ball, Cal?
Yeah, the ball's right on the end of the bat, which produces that spin, side spin, that bat bounces back. And Scope just makes a wonderful play, and it makes it look really easy, too. On the run, ball bounces behind him, catches it and throws in one motion.
To right center field. Kane fully extended, and he's done it again.
The reactions of the pitchers every time he makes a play is almost like they can't believe it either.
It's the same reaction you have on Christmas morning when you get a present.
That ball tailing away from the Royals center fielder with those 8-foot strides. 1 out. Incredible.
Fully extended. Outran that baseball right then.
Yeah,
there's
sure
the reaction.
loves it. Yeah.
Well, you saw Shields do that a number of times so far in the postseason.
I was going to say, that's what Kansas City Royals starting pitchers lead the world in, having both arms up, saying thanks for the great catch.
Those guys are like, yeah, we've seen that before. Jaws are dropping in that Oriole dugout.
I was surprised he had to dive. That's what they're saying.
There's Flaherty. Speed on the bases, speed on defense. This is beyond routine for Kane. 2 down. Look at this angle.
I'm still amazed at the spacing, because when you cover that much ground, you got to make sure that you're spaced so you don't run into each other. Aoki knew right away to take the deeper angle in that ball.
Two up and two down. Both retired by the center fielder Kane. And here's Caleb Joseph. Yes, be courteous. Look at Nori Aoki replacing Lorenzo Cain's divots in right center field.
Divot, he replaced one divot. He left one open.
Ooh. That was pretty darn close to us right there, and I guarantee you one of the three of us would have attempted a play, unlike the Weiner-Bordick combo down there in the camera well. And now, on their way to the mound, Dave Island and Ned Yost, and the athletic trainer for the Royals, Nick Kenny.
You didn't see a lot, but you're not going to see any more of Ventura.
Well, the decision's been made, and Ventura's on his way out with 2 outs in the 6th. Brandon Finnegan has been getting loose. We'll be back right after this. It is Chevy Truck Month. Time when truck guys like Wes Atkinson, the husband of our legendary production manager Joyce Atkinson, can depend on great offers on the 2014 North American Truck of the Year, Chevy Silverado. Wes could drive that Silverado. Here we are back in Camden Yards. Look at Alex Gordon, Lorenzo Cain.
He's saying that Oki was taking such a circuitous route to that baseball.
And as Aoki comes over, and now you're talking what's up with Ventura when they have to go get him here in the 6th inning with nobody on and 2 out.
You know, the last start we saw him against Los Angeles, he was throwing routinely 98 to 101. Didn't come close to that really today. And this was the last pitch that he threw this evening. There wasn't too much that he did except kind of fall off the mound, drop his head, and a little bit of wince. That's enough for a talented arm like that.
Yeah, we haven't seen the blazing fastball. We haven't seen the one that goes over the 100. He was averaging 97 for the whole season. He was a little bit down today in velocity.
So Brandon Finnegan is on and ready to go. And Caleb Joseph swings at the first pitch and fouls it back. A ball and 2 strikes. Well, Kansas City Royals fans and Royals players crossing their fingers, holding their breath that this is not a major situation for Ventura.
Well, they had a scare when Kelvin Herrera left the game, and that ended up being a false alarm. They're hoping for the same thing.
There's a lot of power arms in that bullpen. You lose somebody that throws the ball upwards close to 100 miles an hour. Finnegan comes in, and he's at 94, 95, 96.
We asked Ned Yost if he was going to talk to his pitchers, Herrera and Wade Davis, who both went 2 innings the last night's ball game. He says, yeah, but I'm pretty sure that once they talk to Dave Island, they'll be good to go tonight.
A little blooper over first, fair ball. Joseph rounding first. He's going to stay right there. He had thoughts. And then retreats to first. So a guy who'd been in an 0 for 33 skid is 2 for 2 with a sacrifice fly.
look at some of the hits that Finnegan has given up now. The lob wedge by Diaza that tied the game yesterday. This one off the end of the bat.
Aoki closes really fast on this ball. This can be a double. And he thought about going, but he gets to the ball so quickly that he has to make a decision to stay at first.
Yeah, Finnegan pitched last night, didn't retire a hitter. With 2 outs here, Joseph reaches, and here is Scope. And there's a strike, 0-1. Scope was the first guy that Finnegan faced last night, and he walked him. Count even 1-1. And the game even 4-4. On the ground to third, off the glove of Moustakas. Throws across and got him. Moustakas stuck with it. The highlight of the inning, that man again, Lorenzo Cain. The suspense continues tonight on Fox, featuring NLCS Game 1 between the Giants and Cardinals at 8. Then tune into Fox Sports 1 tomorrow night at 8 to catch Game 2 of the NLCS. Do not miss the action. Joe Buck, Harold Reynolds, Tom Bernucci. Working that one, and I can foresee us having a dinner and watching the NLCS game tonight. Travel day tomorrow in this series, and then games 3, 4, and 5, if necessary, in Kansas City. Nori Aoki leads it off in the top half of the 7th in a tie game. Ronnie, how about the job that Brad Brock has done?
So important. He's going to be the unsung hero if the Orioles can come back and take this much needed game. They have to have this game. And when you have a starter 2 days in a row, can't get through 5, it's your bullpen that comes into play, and it's your long man that you don't use a lot in the American League who comes into play. And Brock has been a hero so far.
1-1 fouled off.
This is a 92-mile-an-hour fastball that has that little cut action to it. Keeps riding in on Aoki. It's right off his foot.
That's exactly why he wears that guard right down there on the shin. Hit right in the middle of it.
They have an expression called an emergency hack, when you're just trying to protect when you know it's going to be a strike. And Aoki has some of the weirdest emergency hacks.
He starts out in an emergency.
But it's very effective. Gets him another pitch.
Aoki singled in the first and scored the first Kansas City run. He lined to center in the third. Adam Jones made a diving catch.
Cain went to the book.
Shortened up as if to bunt, and took it.
Something you very rarely see, a 2-strike bunt. Aoki almost surprising Flaherty and the Orioles. Ned is like, what exactly is going on here?
It didn't look like he liked that a whole lot.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Just a lot of movement around the plate when Aoki is up there.
Well, it's interesting. He wanted to take that pitch for ball 4. It was out of the zone, but just caught his bat. If the Orioles were to take this game and split this series with their starting pitchers Tillman and Norris going 8 2/3 innings and giving 9 runs, make that man happy.
Yep, exactly 4 1/3 for each of those starters here. And then Brock came on, walked the first man he faced. Then got Butler to fly out, struck out Gordon to end the 5th. Gave up 1 hit in the 6th, but got out of it. And here we are in the 7th, and Aoki fights that one off.
Emergency hack. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to take a step toward first, and I'm just going to get a piece of this back to the screen.
I mean, this will become the Kansas City rote, R-O-T-E offense. If he gets on, here comes Mr. Dyson.
Up and away. Leadoff walk to Aoki. Brings up Lorenzo Cain, and just as you said, as you look at Cain's night, just as you said, Ron, it's the Gerard Dyson moment as he runs for Aoki. And Cain with a 3-for-3 night and this catch. So with Dyson on to run, Buck Showalter will make a move. Andrew Miller's up and throwing and ready. Brad Brock hears it from the fans here at Camden Yards. Follow the postseason with MLB.com at BAT, the #1 app for live baseball. Highlights, scores, live radio broadcast, replay reviews, and more. Get the At Bat app. All right. Wheels spinning, gears turning in both dugouts. Buck Showalter goes to the pen to get Andrew Miller, who's been lights out, big left-hander. Ned Yost goes to the bench, gets Gerard Dyson to pinch run for Aoki at first.
Well, there's two things here. As we look at the graphic, you can see what he's done in no days rest. He's been perfect. When you look at what he's done over the course of the year, he's been outstanding. But even more important, it's why Showalter made the move. He's one of their best relievers, but also the left-hander you think can mitigate the running game of Dyson.
And once again, you see Steve Pearce come well off the bag and holding Dyson at first.
Bobby Valentine, when he was manager of the Mets, would employ this kind of defense with John Olerud, who was their first baseman at the time, a first baseman who had as good a feet as anyone in the game, to try to lessen those guys who could really go.
Cain had a good cut, fouled it straight back, 0-1. Almost caught him leaning last night. And then did get Dyson, although he had second base stolen and then came off the bag. And we mentioned it earlier, a lot of Royals fans are saying, hey, Jonathan Schoop pushed him off the bag, you can't do that. Ned Yost was not of the same opinion when we talked to him today and reviewed that play with him.
So the momentum coming into the bag is so great that it doesn't take much to kind of nudge him off the bag. And so I think the biggest culprit is the momentum and sliding to the back of the bag where he only had one hand to anchor himself to the bag.
This is amateur baseball where everyone gets a trophy. You've got to secure the bag if you're the stolen base guy.
No balls and 2 strikes. Breaking pitch, fouled it off his foot.
It's interesting. It reminded me, Ricky Henderson was stealing 100 bases in the year. There were many different techniques to try to disrupt him. We even didn't hold him on. We put a first baseman behind him where he couldn't see. This strategy here is similar to that, is you're coming off the base, but you're in the peripheral vision of the runner, and Dyson looking at him, so you might flinch by going back to the bag, and you might disrupt his timing a little bit. It's out of the ordinary, and that's all that you're trying to do.
Matt Weiner, what you got?
Well, EJ, it was interesting when we spoke to Ned Yost today that he spoke about the art of the tag returning to the game as a result of instant replay, because now umpires can go back and check the tag on video review. You don't see the swipe tag as much. You actually have to tag the runner and make sure you make contact.
Good point.
That's a really good point. And the Orioles anchor themselves around the bag. They straddle the bag. Most of the league now likes to take the ball in front of the bag and then try to adjust themselves to the throw. If you're in a anchored position and you're straddling the bag, then you can do more with catching the short hop or the long hop, or catching and sticking with the tag. Very good technique.
Andrew Miller been going right after Lorenzo Cain. There goes Dyson. Ball grounded, foul up toward third.
And in my opinion, the right way. I don't know why it's gotten out of whack, because the speed of the ball coming from the catcher needs to travel all the way there, and you need to be there in an athletic position to help and make that tag.
I think, like a lot of things, Cal, a lot of the teaching is trying to take the danger out of the game, and teaching how to take the throw in front of the bag allows free access to the bag. I'm with you. It's the wrong way to teach it.
Dyson, who stole 36 bags, is at first. A little looper to short. Hardy makes the play. Dyson back to first, one down. So Cain retired for the first time tonight. The book on him says he weighs 205, but covered with dirt and grass from Camden Yards today is about 210.
You wouldn't have made much difference on that little lazy fly ball there, but it might be in the back of the mind of J.J. Hardy, because he's a thinking guy. If there's a pop-up to the infield right now, you might want to let that ball land in the grass and then exchange base runners.
Here's Eric Hosmer. There's a throw over.
Challenged Steve Pearce. You know what's interesting about what the Orioles have done in Buck Showalter? I don't care where you go. It's interesting that Dyson was reaching down to feel his foot like he hurt his foot. The Royals always go on first or second pitch. They have not. That shows you that it's been effective.
Fouled out a play by Hosmer.
I think Dyson is having a problem with his foot. Been maneuvering it around like maybe he twisted an ankle, or
maybe he wants you to think that.
There you go. He got me.
There he goes. The throw. They got him. Caleb Joseph threw out 40% of the runners trying to steal, and he just gunned down Gerard Dyson.
Very quick on plate. Gave Joseph a chance. He delivers the ball down to second base. And J.J. Hardy with that anchored tag we talked about.
Just did get him ahead of the hands, hitting the bag. Fly ball by Hosmer. That'll be easy for Adam Jones. They're roaring at Camden Yards. It's time to stretch in a 4-4 game. Well, how good has this series been so far? Game 2, ALCS. Tied up at 4, middle of the 7th inning. Here at Camden Yards, jam-packed. So yesterday, at this point in our broadcast, it was 5-5. Today it's 4-4. It cannot get any better than this in terms of two teams that are just, it's a battle of wills here in Baltimore.
Well, I mean, if you're the Orioles, you don't want to fall behind and play that 6-inning game. And so scoring, before the 6th inning is really important because now it negates that power bullpen. And the same is true. The Orioles have a really in-depth bullpen as well. So they're just fighting. It's going back and forth. Really, really exciting baseball.
But it's a game that has to be won by the Orioles. You cannot go to Kansas City down 0-2. And what a job by Brock when they've gotten Tillman and Bud Norris. Both of those starters did not get through 5. They both went 4 1/3, gave up 9 runs. So you've got no starting pitching. And to somehow Orioles pull out this game, you got to feel blessed.
By the way, the Royals saying it's right shoulder tightness for Yordano Ventura, who left this game. And that is the latest word that we have. Here are the changes for Kansas City. Gerard Dyson in center. Kane moves to right. Kelvin Herrera comes on to pitch here in the 7th.
Well, we saw him yesterday pitch the 6th and 7th inning. He was outstanding. I mean, he throws close to 100 miles an hour. This is becoming redundant, isn't it? With a good breaking ball and change.
He faces the top of the Baltimore order. And Nick Markakis takes low, 1-0.
Well, this could be part of the strategy. You play a tie game and you're using up the guys that you normally are pitching when you're leading. It's like using a closer for 2 or 3 innings in a tie game. It's almost like a wasted effort. And now you got to come back and he's less than 100% when he has to save one.
That's over at 98. Ball and a strike.
But every game is so important. And you have the ability to have an off day. You can manage your staff a little bit. You're going to expand the roles of your best pitchers.
Markakis hitless tonight. Had 3 hits in the opener. Ooh, and he had a good cut. 1-2.
From the Kansas City side, they are saying we're going to use Herrera and Davis and Inning, and in those two, got to score a run and get the ball to Holland. The Orioles are trying to figure out any way to get a run across so they can start getting to their bullpen. But they're going to have to, at some point, if they have a lead, go to Zach Britton. And can he erase yesterday?
The 1-2. Fouled away.
I don't usually say this being a former pitcher, but it's almost not fair to these hitters when these pitchers that come in throwing 100 miles an hour, 92% on his fastball and the Chevy pitch arsenal. Changeup. He used a lot more changeups yesterday, but remember, he went 2 innings.
I'm wondering if sometimes in that percentage that because his changeup is above 90 miles an hour, sometimes they thought that pitch might be a fastball.
Well, it depends who's judging it. Someone in a cubicle or someone at the ballpark.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Fouled back.
Good at bat by Nick Markakis. Blue collar gamer, he's called by his manager, Buck Showalter.
Well, Kansas City, because they won the first game, they don't have to feel like they have to use their closer unless they have a lead. Maybe Buck might feel he has to.
There's your 90-mile-an-hour changeup by Herrera.
Did you mark it down as a fastball?
No, I did not. I'm at the ballpark, but someone in the cubicle did. Salvador Perez just hoping that he only has to use 1 glove tonight with Herrera.
Yeah, I wonder if he did fix that glove last night.
Again, the 2-2. On the ground, wide of first. And Herrera, he missed the bag. Hosmer made the play, made the flip, but Herrera missed the bag.
Looked very routine, gave it to him in plenty of time, but he took an angle, a much sharper angle to first base. Probably should have laid out more to the 45-foot line. Just lost where the base is, and clearly he misses it.
No replay needed on that miss by Herrera. You know, you're taught since you're a kid that you run to the line about 15 feet short, 20 feet short of the base, and start to move along the baseline. That way you never miss the base. He went straight at it.
And you become a better target for the flip, and you want to get the ball before you get to the bag. On extremely fast runners, you have to take a sharper angle because you have to beat the runner to first base. But that was a very routine play.
Could be a huge mistake here in the 7th inning. Diaza at the plate with Markakis at first. Moustakas creeps in on the grass at third. But Diaza's not squaring. 1-0. Herrera didn't even look back at Joe West. He knew he had missed it. There was absolutely no argument.
And this is part of Buck Showalter's game plan. Does not like to give up an out.
2-0.
Your pitcher at times can get flustered when he makes a mistake defensively on the field.
Three balls and no strikes after the mistake by Herrera. Kansas City defense has been sensational, but that may cost them. 3-1.
They made a couple mistakes in yesterday's game, but didn't come back to haunt them. They still made some really good double plays, played well, and they persevered and came out with a win.
So Perez looking over there. Markakis could go. Herrera's so intent on the hitter.
Diaza takes another strike, 3-2.
I just don't think you can afford to take any strikes off this young man.
Yeah, 3-1 would have been an iffy pitch for me to send him on because he does have swing and miss stuff. 3-2 here, I'd be tempted.
Diaza is 2 out of 3 today, has scored twice. Watch Markakis at first. Not going anywhere, and that's ball 4. They ask for help. But Mark Wagner down at third says he didn't go.
And here's one of those mistakes yesterday. Scope gets picked off, but then Escobar throws the ball off his back. And here's a play that looks like a double play ball. And Moustakas throws it low to first base. And here's a mistake, stealing the bag, but then coming off the bag, not holding and anchoring himself to the bag. Big plays in yesterday's game, but Kansas City still won. And you can't say the bases loaded, no outs was a mistake. You want to give credit to the Orioles for getting out of that jam, but that very rarely happens.
You know, it's interesting. Alex Gordon kind of had his coming out postseason party yesterday. What a game he had. Adam Jones looking for his today.
Jones homered in the third, 2-run shot to tie the game. Single in the 5th. Go-ahead run is Orioles at second. Nobody out.
Most unusual defense I've ever seen there. Hosmer was all the way back, and then right before the pitch ran up on the grass like expecting a bunt. Absolutely not. Never happened.
Took a little off, and it's 0-2.
There is a school of opinion, and normally it comes from if you're playing the infield back and the guy's on third, and then the infielders come in, you're surprising the hitter and maybe distracting him for a minute. I wouldn't anticipate. I think he just thought there might be a possibility because Adam Jones can bunt, and he has bunted, you know, for a hit with a guy on third base.
His concentration is not on any bunting. It's on trying to hit this Herrera.
Tried to check his swing and knew he didn't. 3 pitches, 1 down. Herrera went right after him.
Definitely a little overexcited, wanted to get it done, wanted to make something happen so bad, and that's where he gets a little jumpy, commits way before he sees it. And somebody throwing 100 miles an hour will make you want to be jumping and get out there. But the first pitch might have been low. That last pitch definitely was low.
Well, here's Nelson Cruz. Markakis is the runner at second. He can move. Diaza, the runner at first. In the hole, base hit. Markakis around third. They're going to hold him up. Gordon's got a great arm, and they didn't test it.
Cruz is just automatic in the postseason, isn't he? When you need a big hit, he delivers.
And Gordon charges a ball as well as anybody you'll see in the outfield.
Again, the outfield defense of the Kansas City Royals being another factor. And Cruz, like you said, Cal, is a factor every single time he comes to bat in the postseason or the regular season.
Dickerson had no choice but to hold him up. There's a relationship of when the outfielder reaches the ball and where you are coming into third base. I think it would have been dead at home plate.
Bases loaded, 1 out, tie game, and here's Steve Pearce. Big spot for a guy who's well-traveled, has found a home here. A guy that GM Dan Duquette said saved our season. A ball and a strike.
Somehow the Orioles in the top of the 9th got out with a bases loaded, got out of a bases loaded situation. Royals are trying to return the favor.
How about that pitch right there? A 1-0 changeup from a guy that throws 100 miles an hour. Has the confidence to throw that behind in the count.
A ball and 2 strikes.
Now Pearce has to protect against the strikeout, against somebody that really knows how to strike people out.
Go ahead run 90 feet away.
After watching Herrera cover first, anything that gets away, if it's a breaking pitch from Perez, the runner on third should be ready.
In the air, shallow left. Gordon's there. That's not going to be close to deep enough. Not even a bluff from Markakis at third. 2 down. Boy, Pearce knows the opportunity that just passed him by. So now it's up to the guy who you heard the fans chant his name, J.J. Hardy.
We mentioned yesterday's ball game that Herrera 3 times in the regular season pitched 2 innings. Never pitched the next day. Now he's doing it here in the post.
Hardy takes a strike 0-1. Last time he was up, he went to the gap in right center field, and that 6'3", 6'4" frame of Lorenzo Cain was totally laid out, made a sensational catch.
JJ's a good fastball hitter.
To right field, and there's Cain near the line, makes the catch, and that'll do it. End of threat for Baltimore. Another rally dies in the glove of Lorenzo Cain. We're heading to the 8th. Royals dodge a major bullet. We head to the 8th. Play postseason showdown throughout October. Simply pick the winners of head-to-head player matchups between Kansas City and Baltimore for your chance to win a pair of 2015 season tickets to your favorite team. Go to MLB.com/showdown to play now. Top 8, Billy Butler, Andrew Miller, all 1. With Butler at the plate, there's a guy in the Kansas City dugout who thinks it may be close to his time, and that would be Terrence Gore. Because if Butler reaches, he would get the call to run more than likely. 2-0.
Yeah, for sure. If Butler gets on base here, Gore will run for him. I'd expect him to have his helmet on already.
Certainly don't take a pitch here if you're Butler. Looking for a fastball middle of the plate in. Something can hit out of the ballpark. Just missed earlier in the game.
Pretty breaking pitch. 2-1.
It's interesting how the strategy can change. Knowing you're going to get pinch run for, you might be more apt to take a 2-0 pitch. Butler didn't hit as many home runs as he's capable of. He still can. But in this situation, it's almost like his job is to try to get on base.
Count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Alex Gordon waiting on deck. The guy who went 3 for 4 last night with a home run and knocked in 4 runs has struck out 3 times here in game 2. On the ground to third. Flaherty to Pierce, who held on to the ball and the bag. 1 down.
They made it very easy on Steve Pierce at first base, I'll tell you. It's a routine play here. Well, I think it's routine.
One down for Gordon. Remember what happened last night? Ball got away from Miller and got Gordon right in the neck. Here it is.
Wow. And he gets the next fastball and the next at bat by Miller, and he's right on it. Tell you a little bit about his toughness.
Upstairs, 1-1. Game 2 of the American League Championship Series. And just like we were in game 1, tied in the late innings. 4 apiece. Breaking pitch, floated inside and missed. 2-1.
This breaking ball starts at him. He buckles him a little bit. And who would blame him? Ball comes back almost to the inside corner.
Gordon 5 for 11 with a home run, lifetime, off Miller.
Again went off speed. And it's 2-2.
I saw him talking to himself a minute ago. Couldn't read his lips, but maybe he's saying, stay in there now. Stay in there.
Full count. You talk about a game of missed opportunities, and Gordon knows that feeling all too well tonight. Struck out with a runner at third in the first to end the inning. Second and third to end the inning in the third. And had him at first and second when he struck out in the fifth. And he goes down swinging here in the eighth. And Buck Showalter heading to the mound.
What you love about a pitcher, 3-2, commit to that good breaking ball. You see too many pitchers try to float one over for a strike and get hurt. He threw that good hard one out of the strike zone.
It looked like Gordon decided he was going to take a chance. Miller throws really hard. He looked dead red and was wrong.
Darren O'Day makes his way to the mound. We'll be right back. We welcome you back. Pitching change for the Baltimore Orioles. Darren O'Day is on.
The original 1954 foul ball from Memorial Stadium. It's the 60th year of this franchise here in Baltimore.
See where Nelson Cruz, Delman Young, James Shields, and Eric Hosmer rank among the top 20 players in the playoffs so far with the Team Stream app from Bleacher Report. Download Team Stream for your iPad, iPhone, or Android today.
My question is that the right field foul pole or the left field foul pole?
I'm believing right field. Trying to figure out maybe if you hit it.
No, I just remember a lot of people, maybe I shouldn't say this, has climbed it over the years. We played a game where somebody was stuck halfway up there. They waited him out until he came down.
So Darren O'Day is on. Last 7 innings he's pitched in this ballpark, he's given up 5 home runs. That includes the postseason. That includes Alex Gordon last night. Here's Salvador Perez, who waves at the first one, 0-1.
It's interesting, Cal, you asked Ned Yost today. He said, did you think in a certain situation you might bat for Perez with someone who could bunt? He said no. Salvador, even though he's struggling right now, is always dangerous.
O'Day didn't always throw like this. When he was in college, he was straight overhand at the University of Florida. Didn't have much velocity, got cut. Experimented with this style, and it stuck, and it's paid off. Place is ready to explode. It's 0-2. And O'Day not quite ready. Perez 1 out of 3. And they both get tired of waiting.
It's either a sinker or a slider, 1 or 2. Toss a coin.
Looks like the options were fastball in, fastball away, or a breaking ball. Again, they're still giving a sequence of signs even though no one's on base.
The 0-2 is drilled down the line in left. Keep your eye on it, but it is going to be a foul ball. What did he turn on that? Bordy, what you got?
Well, you know, Darren O'Day has been a beast for the Orioles the last few seasons, and this year he had some magical moments, but he's had some trouble here recently at Camden Yards. And the last 7 innings pitched here, he's given up 9 earned runs. So Darren trying to keep the ball down and keep these hitters off balance.
We're due another 0-2 from O'Day to Perez. That is going to be out of play. Steve Pearce gave it a look.
And the breaking ball seems to be the pitch. We've seen Perez a number of times wave at the breaking ball in key situations. If he's at all a little jumpy, you can't cover that breaking ball, especially the one down under.
His biggest hit, though, of this season was a breaking ball in the wild card game that just eluded Josh Donaldson.
It won the game, and it sent them to the ALDS, which they swept. And here in the ALCS, we're tied in game 2 with Kansas City leading 1-0.
A little indecisive here.
Wants that fastball up. That fastball up out of the strike zone. You talked about, Cal, that he likes to strike out the right-handers with.
Here was the fastball they tried to get in. And Perez gets a lot of that one down the line. Lucky to have that one back. So anytime somebody can jump out on an 0-2 fastball in like that, tells me he's not waiting long enough for the breaking ball.
Perez hit 17 home runs in the regular season. Knocked in 70 runs. He struggled at the plate here in the postseason. And he's waiting on an 0-2 from O'Day. And he struck him out. 1-2-3, top of the 8th for Kansas City. We head to the bottom half. All tied. The NBA returns with NBA on TNT opening night 2014, presented by Autotrader.com. Got the Spurs and the Mavs, followed by the Rockets and Lakers. It all begins Tuesday, October 28th. Only on TNT. Bottom half of the 8th. That workhorse Wade Davis is in there. How good has this guy been, Ronnie?
Well, watching him yesterday pitch 2 innings, you see the numbers. I mean, to have an ERA of 1 over 71 games, that's just unheard of. 9 wins. Yesterday, going through the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place hitters of De Aza, Jones, and Cruz, striking out all 3 is one of the best jobs I've seen a relief pitcher have all year.
He has pitched in every postseason game for Kansas City.
Trying to pull a Darryl Knowles.
Ryan Flaherty waiting on a 1-1. What is it? How did Ned Yost put it to us this morning, guys, when we were talking about Wade Davis? And he was like, look, I'll do anything you want, because he's been a starter, he's been a reliever. He says, I just want to be really good at something wherever you want me. Mission accomplished. Strike 3 called, 1 down here in the bottom of the 8th. Steve, what's up?
I talked to pitching coach Dave Island before the ball game about the availability of both Herrera and Davis, and they said both are fresh to go. Herrera only threw 22 pitches yesterday, Davis only 17, and Davis was sensational. I talked with several Baltimore hitters. They said in the rain he was throwing 97 gas with movement and then a 93-mile-an-hour cutter with slider like Ashkin. It was impossible to hit. James Shields, who's his teammate and good friend, calls him, because he doesn't talk much, the silent assassin.
Yeah, we can certainly see why.
You know, the postseason, where one of the themes has been, we don't want to get out of what we've done all year. You look at this team, Kansas City. Herrera pitched 2 innings yesterday. He never pitched the next day during the regular season. He pitched today. Wade Davis pitched 2 innings during the regular season. He never pitched the next day. They're doing it today.
Caleb Joseph at the plate. Sacrifice fly in the 2nd, scored a run, and he has singled twice after that. And this from a guy who had been 0 for his last 30 in the regular season and 0 for 3 against the Tigers in the division series.
What Mr. Joseph got himself is a start in Game 3. That's what he's done.
Yeah, add to that the fact that he threw out Dyson attempting to steal in this one. Three and one. Jonathan Schoop on deck, and then it's the top of the order. In the air to left field. Gordon took a step back, then came in. 2 down. Here's what we saw from Davis yesterday, Ron.
He just went through the lineup, and he has an assortment of pitches: a slider, a curve, another slider there, and this gas right by Nelson Cruz, one of the best fastball hitters in the game.
2 up and 2 down here in the 8th, and here's Schoop.
So when he's got you thinking about the cutter or the slider, which is 93, 94 miles an hour, he comes back with a 97 mile an hour four-seamer. And he'll use that up in the strike zone to go for a strikeout. That's just plain gas right there.
You know, the Chevy pitch tracks, it was like an NA on changeup.
Watching Wade Davis pitch yesterday. You know when you have the big kid in Little League that strikes out the world, no one can hit him? That's what he looked like.
Schoop sneaks one up the middle for a 2-out hit. And here comes Nick Markakis in the top of the order.
Fastball on the outside again, another four-seamer. Try to sneak that in there. Schoop goes right back up the middle.
When you have an ERA of 1, very few people make contact, so you're usually not ready to field your position. That ball right through the box.
Well, here's Markakis, who's 0 for 4. He did reach his last time, but that's because Kelvin Herrera couldn't find the bag on a toss from Hosmer. Should have been a routine out. There's a strike 0-1. Ultimately, it didn't cost him in the 7th. The game remained tied.
Schoop has had 2 stolen bases in the regular season, 2 in the post. Wouldn't it be ironic if he could get in scoring position for the Orioles?
Fouled back 0-2. He was credited with a stolen base in game 1 when Perez had him picked off, and then Escobar drilled him in the back with the throw.
Well, I don't have a watch on Davis, but he's picking his leg up and being deliberate to home plate. You don't have a lot to lose here with 2 strikes. Take a shot at it.
Worst that happens, Markakis leads off the next time.
The Orioles won 96 games, ran away with the American League East, but have not led in this series. We are late in game 2. There goes the runner. Fouled away by Markakis.
I did find a watch. Had him about a 1-5. He picked a good pitch to go off of.
Well, the hard thing is you got a young player on first base. He's nervous about making a mistake. If you wanted to steal that base, preferred to steal it early.
The 1-2. Markakis is tough as nails, isn't he?
He battles. As Buck would say, sticks his nose in there against the toughest lefties.
Got a great two-strike approach, too. Shortens up on that swing, trying to make some contact.
Wade doesn't have to worry about scope on first base. He can worry about making the pitch to get Markakis out with 2 strikes. But there's still an opportunity here for Scope to steal second.
Bouncer to third. Moustakas throws a strike to Hosmer, and that'll do it for the Orioles in the 8th. How about this? Tie game going to the 9th. Pluto Fonte. It is golf's most exclusive event, the 2014 PGA Grand Slam of Golf. It all starts this Tuesday, October 14th, 4 o'clock Eastern and Pacific on TNT. I know Rory McIlroy's there. I know Bubba Watson's there. So check it out on TNT next week. Meantime, we are going to the top half of the 9th inning in Game 2 of the ALCS, and Omar Infante against Darren O'Day, who came on to strike out Perez to end the 8th.
Like deja vu all over again for Darren O'Day. Got that big double play ground ball and then had to come back for the next inning.
And that's when Alex Gordon roughed him up. Infante trying to bunt to get on, but fouled it away. 0-2. Infante 0 for 3 as he leads off the 9th.
I think it is Britton for sure coming in to face Moustakas. Well, just in case something happens, they get in trouble.
And Moustakas is on deck. You saw Escobar, the leadoff hitter, talking to Ned Yost. He's due up third this inning. Had a notion, held up, count even.
Marvin Hudson has not changed his strike zone. He's been consistent all night long. That ball just off the corner. Beautiful pitch, not a strike.
Little tapper on the 2-2. Flaherty, bare hand, late infield hit for Infante to lead off the 9th. There's another one for Kansas City. They pile up the infield hits, and they're able to put the speedy Terrence Gore in the game here now with nobody out in the 9th.
It's a ball away, just a smothered the ball, pulls it, gets over top of it, but couldn't have bunted it better. Infante smells the hit. He gets down the line really well.
Zach Britton on his way in here in the 9th in a tie game. We'll be back. Mike Moustakas coming to the plate for the Kansas City Royals here in the 9th, and this is what he did in Game 1 last night in the 10th. Padded their lead, and then today in the 4th, he did it again. As he's swinging a great stick, and he comes to the plate now with a runner at first, nobody out, and the left-hander Zach Britton has come on.
Britton, we watched in yesterday's game. It was tough to watch. He could not, at some point through 12 consecutive balls, could not throw the ball over the plate. Not only have to contend with a hot Moustakas, but also it's going to be interesting to see if Gore does a better job than Dyson of contending with this, holding the runners close at first between Britton and Pierce.
Terrence Gore was a September call-up. 5 out of 5 in the stolen base department. You see Pierce made that move back toward the bag, and Gore didn't budge.
He didn't budge because Pierce moved too quickly and Britton held the ball too long.
That was a design throw over, and they had a shake sign just to give the appearance that he was shaking off another pitch. And then they went to the throw over.
Yet in the postseason, Gore is 8 for 8. And again, they throw over.
Britton almost threw that away.
And that's another exposure, as when you're moving back like this, you're trying to disrupt, but you're not in a good position to go laterally on a bad throw.
Gore saying thanks for that tag. Moustakas squared to bunt and bunted it foul.
And we've seen Kansas City bunt someone to second and then steal third. Sometimes it's easier to steal third. I think it's hard to steal second and third.
Me too.
Personally. But some base runners see the signs, they can pick out a pitch to go on. It's harder to hold them on at second base. And against the left-hander, you can make your move a little quicker.
Moustakas squares again. Britton comes to the plate and just missed. A ball and a strike.
Pitch away. Good take by Moustakas. That ball was so close.
Gore edging away from first. Pierce again away from the bag. And Moustakas lays it down. Britton with the toss. And the go-ahead run is at second.
You know, a left-hander has a better chance to hold a runner from first because he's looking at him and he has that deceptive move where he picks his leg up, but from second it almost takes away the deceptive move. You still have the inside move option where you can turn around if you think they're going to go.
Only the Royals in this postseason would bunt a guy with 4 home runs. Unconventional, to say the least.
But that move does have the go-ahead run at second in the person of 5'7", 165-pound Terrence Gore. And here's Alcides Escobar. He's 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Down the line, fair ball into right field. Gore is going to score easily. Escobar into second. RBI double. The Royals have the lead here in the 9th. Get him on, get him over, get him in.
Bunting him over, and with a sinker, high velocity sinker, Escobar goes up there, swings late, but hits the ball right down the first base line.
Of course he's going to score because Scope had to hold Gore close because they were fearing the stealing of third base. Pierce had to try to cover that hole, and that's why he was so far off the line.
Escobar could have been trying to shoot that hole the whole time.
Here's Gerard Dyson. Well, you talk about a huge hit by Escobar. You talk about a team that finds a way, and they found a way again tonight here in Game 2.
Remember, not only have they found a way, when they have found that way, they've added on, like you said earlier, Ernie.
High chopper. Off the glove of Flaherty, and Dyson's going to be safe. Cal, that's got to be one of those instances when you know a guy is so fast and you're going to have to make the play so quickly, and you take your eye off for a second. That's an E5.
Absolutely puts the pressure on you. There's a slight chance because the ball tops on the air. You could lose it in the lights on this, but I think he was coming across knowing he had to hurry. And just misses it in his haste.
Well, it's interesting. Once J.J. Hardy picked up the errant ball, Flaherty did look up to the lights like he had lost it. But I don't know. That's maybe like replacing a spike mark on the green after you missed a putt. There it is.
I've been there in this ballpark. It is possible. When you're coming over on that angle and you don't have a chance to shield yourself from it, it just gets right in the lights.
Well, Escobar at third, Dyson at first. Here's Kane, who's had a great day in the field and at the plate. Takes a strike.
Now the infield is in right here, but with Kane at the plate and where they're positioned, there's really not a chance to go for a double play, even if it's a one-hopper hit at either of the shortstop or the second baseman.
So Kansas City's had a game in Los Angeles where Mike Trout lost the ball in the lights in his home ballpark, and now here Flaherty on a chopper.
Dyson back on the throw over by Britton. The Royals, after breaking the tie last night in the 10th, were able to add on a couple of runs. Made life much easier as Baltimore rallied in the bottom half of the 10th, and they're trying to do the same thing here in the 9th. Kane's got 3 hits on the day.
Scope and J.J. Hardy are talking. There is a possibility. One hopper right at J.J. Scope says he can actually turn the double play. So there's an option, but you got to make sure that's a sure double play.
You got good speed at the plate, and Kane, we've already seen him beat out an infield hit today. They'll throw over again, and Dyson back.
Listen, with the hitter Kane and Escobar and Dyson, you got 3 parts of a relay race. I mean, as fast as you're going to have, hitter and 2 runners.
And the double steal is in play. Dyson's getting a read. He's got a big lead.
Grounded into left field, base hit. There's one of those add-on runs. Lorenzo Kane. An RBI here in the 9th. And it's 6-4 KC.
Chops the ball right in the ground. That's going to happen with a 2-seamer. Finds the exact right hole you need. And Ned's really happy about that insurance run.
And so was Greg Holland, who was loosening in the Kansas City pen. Now here's Eric Hosmer. Still just one out. Runners at first and second. Our statistician Hal Galima points out that Kansas City leads all teams this postseason in sacrifice bunts, sacrifice flies, and home runs.
It's an odd combination, isn't it?
It's a winning combination, I know that.
You see Lorenzo Cain and the company he keeps with that 4-hit day. They throw back, and Dyson back in there in time. 2 runs here in the ninth, breaking a 4-4 deadlock. Buck Showalter's guys have work to do in the bottom half against one of the best in the business. Hardy right behind Dyson, trying to keep him close at second, and Britton throws back again.
That inside move that we saw late in the season this year when Kansas City and Detroit were button heads, and Joe Nathan was able to get Dyson at second base.
Yeah, they steal third a lot, and Dyson had that on his mind that night, and Nathan picked him off. Big swing, but an 0-2 count for Hosmer.
Well, Dyson led American League with 10 steals of third during the regular season. I thought the number might be a little higher than 10.
Remember, he's not a part-time player, but he's not a full-time player. Probably the reason why.
The 0-2. And he got him swinging for out number 2.
Good hard sinker. Looks like it's going to be a low strike. Breaks out of the strike zone.
And it's good to see, because he's a good pitcher, that he got over those woes of yesterday of not being able to throw a strike.
Here's Billy Butler. 1 out of 4 with a run batted in. There's a strike 0-1. It all began with an infield single by Omar Infante. Sacrifice to second. Escobar knocked him in. Cain has delivered a run-scoring single here in the ninth. And Britton just trying to get out of this now with this amount of damage, because Greg Holland is ready to try to close the door on any Baltimore comeback hopes in the bottom half of the ninth. Oh, 2.
You can see even with 2 outs, there's disruption by the Kansas City runners. Dyson still will steal third with with 2 outs. And Jonathan Scope is right behind second base, giving up the whole hole to the right. Pierce is trying to cover that hole, faking back to first with Lorenzo Cain.
He struck him out. That does it for the Royals in the ninth. But they broke the tie. Escobar going the other way. And then Lorenzo Cain. Have a day, won't you?
This 2014 ALCS telecast on TBS is brought to you by T-Mobile, by the Jaguar Innovation Lab, Plan Your Escape, by Mobile One, Energy Lives Here, and by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Here's to Budweiser. Here's to baseball.
They're making a racket here at Camden Yards, hoping for a 9th-inning rally. They trail the Royals by 2. Christian Colon is the new second baseman. Omar Infante was run for after his infield hit in the 9th. Greg Holland is the new Kansas City pitcher. He's their closer, and he came on last night.
You see his numbers. The add-on run so important. He had 2 blown saves this year. Both came with 1-run leads. 2 or more, 2 or 3-run leads. Perfect.
Alejandro Diaza takes high and away, 2-0.
Didn't have his best stuff last night. Coming back again on the second day.
Diaza's had a couple of hits. He scored 2 runs today. That's over. 2 balls and 1 strike.
That's the proper play, Kyle, right? Down by 2 runs, 2-0. You got to take a strike.
You don't really want to when you have lights out stuff against the closer. But he was wild a little bit last night. You got to make him throw a strike there.
Popped him up. Escobar wants it. 1 down. If Holland's going to nail it down, he's got to go through 2, 3, 4. Adam Jones is homered in this game, and how big is that to keep the leadoff runner off the bags, get that out for a guy like Jones, and then Cruz behind him, who can turn things around with 1 swing. And there's that add-on run we talked about. A 2-run advantage over a 1 when you go to the bottom of the 9th.
But you're going against the guy who's hit a home run in the ball game, and the next guy who considered maybe one of the best postseason performers ever.
By the way, led the league in home runs.
Ball 1 to Adam Jones, whose homer came in the 3rd inning. 2-run shot. Tied the game. Out even. 1 ball, 1 strike. Breaking pitch over. 1-2. Adam thought it was up.
Saw Perez pull that down into the strike zone. One of those breaking balls that did not break.
He's still talking. He didn't like that.
Royals an AL best, 47-34 away from home, and trying to go 4-0 in the postseason on the road. Moustakas on a hop. Throws him out. 2 down here in the 9th. You guys talked about Nelson Cruz. One guy hit 40 home runs this year in Major League Baseball. This is the guy. But there's nobody on in front of him today.
Wade Davis did it in the 9th inning last night. Holland trying to do it here in the 9th again. 2, 3, 4.
Cruz walked in the 2nd, popped up in the 3rd, reached on a fielder's choice in the 5th, and singled in the 7th. No balls, 2 strikes. Kansas City a strike away from a 2-0 lead in the ALCS. That missed down low. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I think Nelson would rather be in a position to pick out a pitch, to try to get a pitch to drive. He's almost more in a leadoff role now to try to get the tying run to the plate.
The 1-2. Up the middle. Base hit. There is life for Baltimore.
Cut down on the swing a little bit. Throw the ball right back up the middle.
I think sometimes when we talk about home run hitters, we get stuck on their power and forget a guy like Nelson Cruz is just a good hitter. Plain and simple.
Hardly any stride right there, really shortened up.
That brings Steve Pearce to the plate, and his frustration was obvious in his last trip. A shallow fly out to left with the go-ahead run at third. And he's behind 0-1.
Biggest pitch of the night for Kansas City pitching was the 1-0 changeup from Herrera for a strike that fooled Pearce.
Quickly he falls behind 0-2.
Holland hasn't given up a home run with a man on base in the last 177 and 2/3 inning pitched in the regular season and post. So you're hoping he gives up a home run, but he hasn't. Everyone's got that in the back of their mind here in the stadium because the Orioles have hit 211 home runs during the season.
And Pearce was a big part of that.
He hit 21. He represents the tying run. He just did get a piece.
Got a piece of that ball, and the ball got a piece of Perez.
Right off the throwing hand. Buys yourself another opportunity.
25 times during the regular season, Herrera, Davis, and Holland appeared in the game. 21 of those times, they did not give up a run. They're on the verge again.
Orioles down to their last strike. And Pearce stays alive.
He's battling. Fastball out over the plate. Right on the outside edge.
A swing here or there, a pitch here or there, and this could be fuel for the Orioles. I mean, that's how close these two games have been.
Cruz leads from first. Here comes the 1-2. Strike 3, and the Kansas City Royals are writing this magical postseason story. They come to Baltimore and take the first 2 after a sweep of the Angels, who had the best record in baseball, and after coming from behind to win the wild card game. put it together. 6-0 and going home for the next 3. Unbelievable.
I could only walk you through Kansas City baseball in the top of the 9th inning. An infield hit, a man with 4 home runs, sacrifices. They get a big base hit from their shortstop, who was 0 for 4 at that time. An error on the third baseman, a 2-out hit by Kane. It just goes on and on and on. Alex Gordon said, we always seem to find a way. Whoa.
Camden Yards, silent. Go to Matt Weiner.
E.J. Lorenzo Cain's fingerprints are all over this win. 4 hits, a couple of runs scored, an insurance run knocked in, and the defensive play of the series so far. This Orioles team hadn't lost back-to-back games here in Baltimore since June. How are you getting out of here 2-0?
I don't know. You know, we got a lot of guys that's willing to do whatever it takes to find a way to win. So we did a great job tonight, just hanging in there. Pitcher did a great job keeping the ball game close, and like I said, we came up with some clutch hits at the end there.
It's your style. How much fun is it to impose your style to make things happen out there?
So I try to do, you know. Like I said, our pitchers been doing a great job, outstanding job all season long. So I'm just trying to do the best I can to be a playmaker behind them. And like I said, I'm just laying out, doing whatever it takes to make a play.
How far did you run to get to that J.J. Hardy liner?
It was definitely a long run. I'm not sure how far, but like I say, I feel like I was in front right field a little bit. But like I say, I'm willing to do that to make a play out there.
This has got to be the week of your life. A brand new baby boy at home, whether he knows it or not.
I don't want my amigo. I don't want my amigo. I don't want it.
I'll play that one up.
Whether he knows it or not. How proud should little Cameron Lowe Cain be of his daddy right now?
Very proud. Like I say, he's coming to Kansas City. He should be there about now. So like I say, once we land, I'll get a chance to hang out with him and spend a little time with him. So I'm definitely excited about that as well.
Congratulations. We'll see you back in KC.
All right. Thanks for having me.
EJ, Cameron Lowe has reason to be plenty proud of daddy. What a game.
You know, for Lorenzo Cain, life on and off the field just doesn't get any better than this. He said earlier this week he was the one crying like a baby when he was there for the birth. He has a huge game 2 here. Kansas City up 2-0 in this series and heading for home. For Ron Darling, Cal Ripken, Matt Weiner, Mike Bordick, Steve Fiziak, and the rest of the crew, Ernie Johnson bidding you a good night from Baltimore. We are watching something special here, folks.